Tonight will be a very unsettling program, and you're being warned in advance, and I don't usually do that, but in this instance, it needs to be here. What you're all witnessing is a still photo from body cam footage of the lynching of Robert Brooks. Robert Brooks is being held in prison in New York State, and Robert Brooks, surrounded by a bunch of white personnel from the Department of Corrections, what an outrageously outlandish name in this context, the most incorrect people, the most wrong people on the planet. George Orwell would be, I can't say proud, but he certainly would say, okay, that makes sense. I'm subdued about this because, and I warn you all in advance about this, this is very disturbing to witness, it's very disturbing to see. I'm going to play some of the video from it here because there's actually a lot more. I'm only going to play the one from TMZ. There's actually a lot more because it goes on for a lot longer. What I want to do here is I'm going to play this for you. And tonight's program is really not for children, to be totally honest. I know that I've made modifications to the program in recent months so that, you know, it's not quite so inappropriate for children, to be totally honest. But tonight's program, I got to tell you all, is it's certainly not calibrated to be child friendly. However, your children need to be aware of this. I will say that also. So this is not Sesame Street, but certainly your children need to be aware of this. So you've been told here in advance. Now, what occurred, the video shows Robert Brooks, he's been assaulted. He was already bleeding when they brought him in there, so they had already been beating on him already. And this shows them beating on him some more. They take him to the hospital where he dies from his injuries. So he does not die here. No, he dies right after this, actually. I'm going to play this for you, and then we're going to be back. Now, the reason that you can't hear any audio, the Attorney General of the state of New York, I'm going to play Letitia James, a more useless individual. It's very difficult to imagine. But you can see what they were doing to him there. Yeah, this looks like standard police work there, doesn't it? This standard police work there. Now, they're not police, they're corrections officers, but certainly that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's absolutely. So that's exactly, nobody here looks like mafia thugs at all. No, not at all. Absolutely not. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this looks like perfect corrections officer work to me. Nothing here looks like something from the Lucchese or Gambino crime family. Nothing like that. In the words of Malcolm X, they never come after you one at a time. They always get you off somewhere by yourself, and there's always a whole group of them. It's one of you and a whole group of them, because that is how terrorism is done. That's how terrorism is done. And of course, they are proud of themselves because this is the disease of white supremacy. This is the disease of white supremacy. So the Vivek Ramaswamis of the world and their kind, the Tim Pools of the world, this is what they do. This is what they do. You have to understand, white supremacists by definition are a cowardly, subhuman lot. By definition, we've covered that before. They are the sickness and the illness of the planet, and they always have been. There's a reason for that. And we're going to get into that tonight because what happened to Robert Brooks ties into the greater narrative and the greater story about New York. I have my own thoughts about these things because I want to ask a few questions here. Now, this occurred back on December 9th. It hit the news here a few days ago. This occurred back on December 9th. 20 days ago was when it occurred. I have to ask you a question. None of these people have been arrested yet. They've been suspended without pay. No one has been arrested, much less indicted. As of me talking to you tonight, no one's been arrested or indicted. And I have to ask you a question here. If that were Governor Kathy Hochul, if this were Governor Kathy Hochul, if you busted in her house and this were Governor Kathy Hochul, if you were a doctor at a hospital and this were Governor Kathy Hochul and you were doing this to her and it was on video, how long do you think that you would remain a free person? Do you think that you would still be walking the streets right now? If that was Governor Kathy Hochul, do you think that you'd be walking the streets right now? How long would it take for them to come get you? Would you still be walking the streets today? That's what you'd be doing. They got you on video doing this to her. If this were Letitia James, if they could show you on video doing this to Letitia James, so would it take 2 or 3 weeks to come and arrest you? You tell me what would happen to you if you did this to Letitia James or Kathy Hochul. How long would you continue walking the streets? So it'd be weeks later and you're still walking the streets? It's weeks later and you're still walking the streets? Would that happen? Is that even possible that would occur? The white supremacist news media is already preparing itself. The New York Post, white supremacist newspaper extraordinaire, disturbing body cam footage shows New York prison guards brutally beating handcuffed inmate, leading to his death. They did not say that they beat the man to death. So the New York Post goes into Daniel Penny mode, already attempting to minimize the events. They did not say that he beat the man to death. They did not say that this group of thugs beat this man to death. They didn't say this gang of animals beat this man to death. Well, he was beaten leading to his death. So in other words, the beating and his death are two separate things. You remember that's what they did with Daniel Penny. So what they're trying to tell you is them beating him, well, that might not really have anything to do with his death. The BBC, just in case you thought that America was alone and that white supremacy was not global, the BBC, here's their headline: footage shows New York officers beating prisoner before death. Just in case you were wondering if they were on code, these headlines could have been written by the same person. They did not say he was beaten to death. They're sitting up here characterizing it that these two events were separate and were not the same thing or even caused by it. Well, he was beaten and he's dead. Not he was beaten to death. He died from being beaten. He was beaten and then he died. We're not sure if they're connected to each other. Not really sure about that. So, yeah. Jordan Neely did not touch anybody on that subway. He didn't touch anyone. And yet your white supremacist news organizations gave it the Daniel Penny treatment, lied, tried to make you think that Jordan Neely had even touched anybody, which he never touched anyone. Here you have a bunch of suspected white supremacist goons, and they're on video beating this man to death, and all of a sudden the newspaper is, well, there's more than one side to it there. Just because you see it on video, there's more than just what the video tells you there. It's more than just that now. I mean, the video doesn't show you everything. White supremacy, there's a reason why the Elon Musks and the Vivek Ramaswamis are the perfect representatives for white supremacy, a gutless, sniveling, cowardly group of snakes. They are the perfect representatives of white supremacy. Perfect. Smarmy, greasy, slimy, gutless, and worthless. Of course, you're asking, well, what's being done about this? And of course, we can go jump over to Letitia James, who apparently tore herself away from, I don't know if it was a Diddy freak off or an LGBT rally or whatever, long enough to acknowledge that this occurred on her watch. As the chief law enforcement officer of the state of New York, this occurred on her watch, really has occurred under her jurisdiction. And this is what Letitia James has had to say, by the way. Well, she's releasing the body cam footage, but listen to what she has to say.
He was pronounced dead at Wynn Hospital in Utica on December 10th. I do not take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability. My deepest condolences go out to Mr. Brooks's family. Under New York law, my office investigates every case in which an officer of the law, including a correctional officer, may have caused the death of a civilian. On December 16th, my office announced
may have caused the death of a civilian. May have. Oh, yes, Heifer. I'm going to make sure I highlight that to everyone, what you said.
Of the law, including a correctional officer, may have caused the death of a civilian. On December 16th, my office announced that it had opened an investigation into Mr. Brooks's death. As in every case, the attorneys and investigators in my office are conducting an exhaustive review of the facts and the evidence. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly. As part
every possible tool. The video footage here is not enough. The fact that the officers had their cameras on in standby mode, they didn't actually turn them on to record, which is why you don't have audio. That's not enough. What you all saw here, what you all see here, she's telling you that we need to investigate more. We're still looking into it. So in other words, if you grab Letitia James or Kathy Hochul and you did this to them on video, well, it would take them weeks and weeks to figure out whether or not a crime has actually been committed. This video would not be enough. That would not be enough. This is not probable cause, is what she's saying. This video, she's looked at it, and this alone is not probable cause. We got to investigate further. Just making sure you all understand what she means by this.
And the evidence. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly. As part of the investigation, my office obtained video from body-worn cameras that 4 of the correction officers were wearing at the time of the incident. The 4 officers had their body-worn cameras powered on, but did not activate them. So their cameras were recording video in standby mode without recording sound. My team met with Mr. Brooks's family earlier this week, and they viewed the footage. These videos are shocking and disturbing, and I advise all to take appropriate care before choosing to watch them. We are releasing 8 videos today from 4 officers' body-worn cameras. 4 videos, one from each officer, that each run for the full 30 minute length of the standby mode recording.
I will not be showing those because, quite frankly, I would be extremely influenced to say some things that I am not sure. They haven't gone to go pick these murderous goons up. But if I play that video, I'm liable to say something. And I can pretty much assure you that they would show up to see me far sooner for what I'm gonna say than they have for what these murdering bastards did. There is a reason that we do not allow anyone to tell us that they are going to lump us in with other people and claim that what's happened to anybody else happened to us. You see, the Ed Blums and other white supremacists out there. And tonight I'll also include in there's a group of Jewish white supremacists of Jewish descent that have had a lot to say since before October 7th of 2023, and yet weirdly, oddly, disturbingly silent when Ed Blum goes to the Supreme Court to attack our personhood and to attack our being. Italian white supremacists, many of whom in office. Everyone wants to say that. Elon Musk now wants to talk about racism. And yet you don't have videos like this of Asians, of Jewish people, of white men. You don't have videos like this happening to them. That's the difference. And yet, when the pandemic kicked off in New York, why the focus was to do something to protect Asians. And here comes Ed Blum about we need to help Asians and look out for Asians. But amazingly, the only strategy that they have to, quote, protect Asians is to attack us. It is not lost on me that this is happening in a so-called Democrat blue state under a ultra blue government. They went back and changed the law so they can sit up here and go picket Donald Trump. They went up there and passed 8 legislation specifically to help Asians and, quote, protect Asians. This stuff has never happened to Asians. Isn't happening to them now. Ain't that right, Peter Liang? Where is the legislation in New York for us? When we talk about the Central Park Karen, I went into my own pockets and I spent tens of thousands of dollars of my own money at that point. No crowdfundings, no anything, just straight out of my own pockets to put up big billboards in New York City because I saw that as a pivotal event. Ultimately, it helped contribute to the removal of Governor Andrew Cuomo. It didn't help his political position at all. It certainly helped to spur some talk of legislation about the Central Park Karens. But you see, right now, they're trying to tell you that we need to pass a law at the federal level for Jewish people. That if you even say that the state of Israel, if you say something critical of the state of Israel, if you say words critical of another nation, the state of Israel, wow, we want to make somehow it's punishable. They haven't really defined how that would be, but you're not allowed to do that. And yet right here on American soil, Chuck Schumer is not pushing for legislation for the only group of people who have ever been or are systematically targeted. Let us be very clear in what we say here. Ain't nobody being targeted by the police, the court system, the prosecuting attorneys, the government. No one is being targeted except us. That's it. This is not an Asian issue. You're concerned about being offended by something somebody said. You're not being lynched in these prisons. You're not being lynched on curbside. You're not being lynched in the middle of the sidewalk. You are not being walked up on and immediately you have no rights. You don't have people arguing that somebody strangled you to death, but the fact that they were choking you doesn't really have anything to do with the fact that you died. Even if the medical examiner says that's the reason that you died, you don't have anybody telling Asian people, nope, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Nope. That's why a Vivek Ramaswamy can delude himself into believing that he's got some sort of white privilege. If you all agree with the statement I've made tonight, give me the hammer emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. I want people to see that we are all in agreement on this, because this is a very important program tonight. I know it is on a somber note, but I broadcast on every holiday. I broadcast on every holiday now, going on 2 decades of this program. I have not missed any significant number. There may be 1 or 2 in there in the last decade and a half that I missed. But the reason that I'm here for every holiday, every weekend and every holiday, and then a bunch of days in between, is to drill home the point to you that we are in a race war. There is no video of a group of black police officers, black prison guards, standing around a Jewish man, beating him to death. You cannot compare anyone to us. You ain't got nothing looks like this. There is no video of a group of black police officers, prison guards, or anyone else surrounding an Asian person and beating them to death, and the folk are still walking the streets. It's not there because it doesn't exist. And you know it doesn't exist. And you can't find it because it couldn't happen. That's the difference. This can happen to us. This can't happen amongst these other folk. That is why you cannot lump them in with us. This is why we stopped them from the beginning. There's no equivalent to this happening to any of them. And of course, we can talk about down in Mississippi and the prisons there, and Alabama and the prisons there. But that takes people's eye off the fact that, once again, to remind you, the largest slave-owning state was New York. What? Remember, before slavery was abolished in New York State, the largest slave-owning state was New York. It wasn't until it was abolished there. The only reason is what didn't remain the largest slave-owning state. And yes, we all know about stocks and bonds. But the only reason why it didn't is because they abolished it in the state. But before they did, it was popping and cracking. And I say that to you because then you will have people attempt to deceive you into thinking that New York State does not have a white supremacist legacy, and heritage, that's a Southern issue. They only want to count 20, 30 years after the American Civil War. They don't want you to go back before the American Civil War. I do very inconvenient things, and I just remind you, by the way, you do know that New York State was a complete slave-owning state, including with fugitive slave laws, adhering to the fugitive slave laws and everything else. By the way, New York State was right in there with everything else. Do not deceive yourself into thinking otherwise. Jason, why is it you did not talk about this sooner? Because I don't ever jump on these things immediately. I sit back and I wait. I sit back and I wait. I sit back and wait because I have to. The truth of the matter is, I sit back and I wait because I have to. Because what has happened, what has occurred, unfortunately, is that a bunch of these folks out here, they will use this as their opportunity. They'll use these things as their opportunity. Folks out there can become opportunistic. So for those reasons, I have to be careful about who I support and how I support these things. And if I say anything, as you all know, I am a huge proponent. I'm the guy who started the practice that I don't just jump up and go running out and jumping out the window for things. I need to know what their family has to say. I need to know what their family and their loved ones have to say. Am I going to be the loudest voice in the room, or is the family over there saying something? What are they saying? Are they giving us a play that we can back? Well, out of Channel 10, Rochester, they spoke to the family's attorney.
It also says this has put everyone in.
Good morning and welcome to Rochester in Focus. I'm Lynette Adams. Over the next 2 Sundays, we're revisiting some of the memorable moments on Rochester in Focus. My chat with Miss Sweet Potato Pie would surely be on that list.
That thing is certainly messing up here, so let me go ahead and see if I can reload that, because it was not Sweet Potato Pie referred to.
Tonight, we're learning more about Robert Brooks. We spoke with the family's attorney, and News 10 NBC's Marsha Augustin has reaction from her and Brooks's loved ones after they watched that body cam video.
That's right, Nikki. Elizabeth Mazur says she and the family are extremely sad knowing this was Robert's experience in the last moments of his life.
The overwhelming shock, it was just felt so incomprehensible.
That's Elizabeth Mazur. She's the Brooks family attorney.
I mean, I would say that this video is about as bad as anything I've ever seen. I think also a lot of what goes on behind prison walls, like sort of, never sees the light of day.
Mazur says Brooks got his GED while in prison and enjoyed celebrating the holidays and making music with his son. The family has been looking forward to him coming home once he served his time.
I think everybody was very much looking forward to that. And it's just extremely sad that it ended this way.
What stands out to her most about this video
is that it's just completely inexplicable. Like there's no world. Obviously, what the officers did was not justified, but there's no way to even make sense of what's happening. And also, the other thing that strikes me is just that.
Do you see the title down here? Inmate beaten by corrections officers. It doesn't say inmate killed by corrections officers. Do you all notice this uniformity everywhere you go? When they talk about this, they keep talking about he was beaten. But by the way, if you just walked in and saw this, you would not know that the person that you're looking at on this gurney is dead. You wouldn't know it, not by what you're seeing and not by what you're hearing from the attorney that they're talking to. So I wanted you to be aware of this, that even if you look for a response from the family and their attorneys, by the way, this is what you're getting.
It's just completely inexplicable. Like there's no world. Obviously, what the officers did was not justified, but there's no way to even make sense of what's happening. And also, the other thing that strikes me is just that judging by their demeanor and kind of the way people are milling about it, seems really just like business as usual for them.
Mazur explains with the manner in which Brooks died, she's been contacted by family members with loved ones in Marcy and formerly incarcerated inmates.
I've heard lots of comments from folks about, pretty terrifying things that go on inside and that don't see the light of day. And so I wonder if, this may feel validating to them.
I got to say this, their family attorney here, she just sounds so ho-hum about this. Oh, I'm going there. Because I got a whole bunch of folk who need to catch the wrath here tonight. Their lawyer here is just, doesn't she just sound so damn ho-hum about it? She's talking as if you got the wrong colored petunias or something here. She just sounds, just so aloof. This is the legal representative the family has? Why do I have the sneaking suspicion that she's already trying to negotiate some kind of settlement, but anything beyond that, oh well.
Contacted by family members with loved ones in Marcy and formerly incarcerated inmates.
I've heard lots of comments from folks about, pretty terrifying things that go on inside and that don't see the light of...
pretty terrifying things. Pretty terrifying things. Yeah.
Day. And so I wonder if, this may feel validating to them, that the kinds of things they report being fearful of happening, are finally...
Mazur, I wonder where her people are from.
Witnesses being true.
Elizabeth says she is uncertain.
Now, isn't this amazing? Now, it's only when you get back to the black female reporter and the graphic behind her that it says beating death. It's only when you get back here. But the overwhelming majority of the rest of their news piece was just inmate was beaten. It's not really sure what the hell happened to him. He might have had an appendicitis. Now, there's something else I want to show you all here. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, if she were here today, she would be quick to remind you of something.
It's just extremely sad that it ended this way.
What stands out to her most about this video
is that it's
right
just completely inexplicable. Like there's no world. Obviously, what the officers did was not justified, but there's no...
They're yanking his pants off of him. Jason, why are you calling it a lynching? Because it's a buck breaking. Buck breaking is part and parcel of that. It's part and parcel of that. And that's the point I want you to be aware of here.
Way to even make sense of what's happening. And also, the other thing that strikes me is just that judge...
Right here now, this guy here in particular, look where his leg is. I'm going to try to stop this real quick so you can see something.
Judging by their demeanor and kind of the way people are milling about it.
Right there. Was I stretching before? Was that a stretch before? I've looked up articles, and according to the articles I've looked up, this particular officer, his last name's a little eludes me to pronounce it. But they've been saying that this is a thing that he was doing. That he had a thing about kicking folks in the genitals. Now there he is on video. But by the way, they said he had a record of complaints about that kind of thing. Now there it is on video, showing you that this is a systemic practice, which is why we have always told you all that Joe Rogan and the rest of y'all, you don't like us telling you how racism is defined because you looked at it and realized, I'll be damned, we're the only ones who can do that. You can't have a group of black people anywhere who could do this to a white person with impunity, still walk in the streets, still have their jobs. It's systemic at their prisons, at their place of work. You couldn't have a bunch of black folk who can do this to a singular white person. That singular white person would be able to get all of them held accountable. These guys been doing this for years and years and decades. Now that somebody's died, it's like, oh yeah, there've been plenty of complaints about this guy in particular. And that his thing was attacking folks' genitals.
Judging
he was a guy going around kicking them in the genitals
demeanor
there.
And kind of the way people are milling about it.
Please tell me, now what type of restraint is this? Anybody who's taken a damn self-defense class, anyone who's been in the military, please tell me, this is the most outrageously risky subduing position you can be in. You're outrageously out of balance. You only have 1 foot on the ground. Obviously, you're not. How in the world are you holding somebody down like that? Tell me one place you could go where an instructor would teach you that this is how you hold somebody still without putting yourself at outrageous amounts of risk. So the point obviously isn't what he's doing with his right foot. The point is only what he's doing with his left. This is not about restraining anyone. This is about assaulting them. That's why he's looking in the camera, because he's worried about whether or not that thing is on. We are the only people that this is the story about. We are the only people that this is our regular routine experience. This is why Joe Rogan and the rest of them do not like to discuss racism. They'll bring on a bunch of folks who will be boot-licking, ass-kissing, immigrants or otherwise. They don't want to talk to us about this because we shut down that straw man argument real damn quick. You can't put out a phony argument with us. When we explain it, yeah, it holds up. It holds up. We're the only ones who have this experience, period. And it is because it takes power to do this kind of thing. You can't do this with everyone. This is why they hate us saying it, because yeah, it exposes white supremacy. This is not something that happens to everybody. No, it is not. Bring this up about New York. I bring this up about New York State to remind you that the Democrats are deadly silent on all of this. The Democrats are deadly silent on all of this. When Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal alien, the Republicans made her the cause du jour. They made sure that you understood that they were the party stomping for that. This happens to a black man in New York, and this is just one among many, folk. We've been talking about Rikers Island forever. We've been talking about Rikers forever. Hell, you've been talking, for those of you in New York, you know about Marcy, which is where Brooks was killed. Been talking about Marcy for decades. among others. There's a reason why Attica was notorious. We can go down the list. But the Democrats, there's not a dime's worth of difference between them and Republicans. Where is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Damn! Where's your Congressional Black Caucus? Where's the New York State Black Caucus? Where is the legislation? The only time that they want to discuss legislation is if they can target us. That's the only time they want to discuss legislation. This is the reason that you can't get illegal aliens under control. Because if you are not going to arrest the source of the problem, the white men who employ them and provide the economic draw that brings them here, if you're unwilling to stop the problem at its source, mass incarceration of the white men who run that racket, and it is a racket, no one's doing RICO on them. If you are unwilling to do that, then you cannot fix the problem. If you are unwilling to put legislation, by the way, the legislation is already out there. If you're unwilling to execute it, then you cannot solve the problem. And let me go ahead and give you all one more reminder here. Well, Jason, if it's already illegal, and if they are disregarding the law, then why would they want to have a law that makes it illegal? Well, the illegality portion of it is for you. Oh, see, they're only going to enforce the law against you. Those white men over there with their farms and their meat packing plants and their construction sites, oh, we'll just go ahead and drive past them. It's illegal, but only for you. If you try to do what they're doing, well, then all of a sudden it becomes didn't you know it's illegal? And you're pointing to all the white folk around you. Well, ain't worried about them. Get your ass in the car, nigger. So if you want to know the explanation for why is it illegal, but they're simultaneously doing it at the same time, why would they want it to be that way? They want it to be that way because the illegality faction of it is for you. Just to make sure that you don't try this. So it's only illegal for you, not for them. Your so-called Democrat-run cities, your so-called Democrat-run states, and yet you recognize the same pattern of targeting us. Your so-called Democrat-run cities, your so-called Democrat-run states, and then you start noticing a pattern of things. That they'll sit up here and they will send out black faces in so-called high places, and their job is to sit up here and be the mammies and the old preachers minding the store. They'll have a black face who executes the same white supremacist policy. Doesn't matter whether it's Kim Fox, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, you start noting Eric Adams, Brandon Johnson, Sylvester Turner, Bowser in D.C., everywhere you go, you start to notice that. You start to notice that. And I have to ask a question. I have to ask a question about New York, because the Robert Brooks fiasco perfectly encapsulates so much of the issue about why, in the case of New York as a problem, why do we bring up New York? Because New York is important. New York is important as a cultural center. New York is important as an epicenter here. New York is important. New York is important. It's important for that reason. We have changed and led so much of what has happened in American society because of that. We have led and changed so much of what has happened in American society because of that. Yeah, you had the Irish and the Italians out of New York, but New York as a cultural epicenter lays solely at the feet of the foundation that laid that and made that possible, because it wasn't possible and didn't exist before we did that. We have cultural real estate in New York. New York has irreplaceable cultural real estate, which is why they are pursuing all tactics, including militaristic and terroristic tactics, against us. And that's why it's important for us to be aware of that and to stand by that no matter what else occurs. And there's a lot occurring out there. I bring this up because it is a reminder of other things. Oh, yeah, I'm going there. It's a reminder of other things. You see, we cannot have a conversation about how New York is the problem without an in-depth analysis of who helps make it more of a problem. When you tell yourself that the only thing you have to do in New York is be there, that's all you have to do in New York is to just be there. And then you're sitting up here sucking on your own damn wind because you're a resident of New York and you're vibing off of that. And now you see that particular disease has spread its way down to Miami. I'm from Miami. Okay, you own nothing in Miami, but go right ahead. They've got you sitting up here dragging the pipe of that kind of thing. We have been making it clear to people that our cultural real estate cannot be infringed on, that we are not going to allow that to be taken from us, because that's how you erase a people. You erase their identity, then you erase them physically. You have to do one or the other. Then you can get both of them done. And in the last week in particular, you've witnessed as the world has been set on fire as the foundational black authority has given people the intellectual firepower necessary to discuss these issues. And there are folks who are unhappy. And then there are other people who are unhappy also. Lord Jamar has weighed in, and that has been a pivotal, crucial thing, because he's got cultural cachet. He's got cultural clout where these issues are concerned. So you see, when he speaks, it means something. He's got something that only years of active participation can give you. You can't buy that kind of legitimacy, and Viacom can't give it to you either, Joe. So Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian has lent a lot of cultural cachet and legitimacy to it. I would like to say that he wasn't alone, but unfortunately, there's a problem with New York and New York culture. Sadat X, one of the other members of Brand Nubian. Well, when everything went up there and Lord Jamar was talking and whatnot, Sadat X had something he wanted to say, and this is a reminder here that this is not really safe for children tonight. I don't really have tonight's program edited. I really don't. Now, earlier in December, this is the kind of stuff that Sadat X was posting. Clearly, he's looking for work, whatever the case may be. He's looking for work. He's also looking for something else. We'll come back to that. Folks are going to say I'm roasting him early. No, he's looking for work. All right, this is what he was posting in earlier December. So he looking for work. Here's email, and I guess he's offering to write rhymes for you. He's available for bookings, shows, features, voiceovers, bar mitzvahs, daycare. All right. He's throwing out his email. They're in the lab. It's a modest lab, but they're in it. He's out there walking around. I'm in the lab. Hit me for a feature. I mean, this was December 18th. He wasn't posting a whole lot. As you can see, he wasn't really posting a whole lot. He wasn't really saying very much. December 5th, and then December 12th, and then December 15th. He wasn't December 18th. He wasn't saying very much. And then Christmas hits. And Sadat X decides he wants to weigh in. But this is how he wanted to weigh in. Let me make sure you all can see this correctly. Okay, you all can. Sadat X wanted to weigh in on the FBA, TBA, hip-hop culture thing with Fat Joe. He wanted to weigh in on it, and this is what he had to say.
What's up, y'all? This is the last time I'm gonna say this, man, because I'm tired of niggas hitting me in my comments in different sections. So, Sadat, you haven't said anything. How do you weigh in on the origins of hip-hop? Or this situation with this rapper saying this? Listen, once and for all, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I got my square, and as long as nothing comes in my square, y'all niggas could have civil war on the outside. You understand? Some of the niggas champion it, okay, but then some niggas look like straight up bitches, B. No, this shit. No, that shit. No, this. Look like a fucking bunch of bitches, B. That's why I said don't ask me about that shit again, B. I don't give a fuck. You understand? Long as my square is untouched, I'm good, B. That's it, man. That's it. I don't give a fuck. What's up, y'all? This is the last time I'm gonna say this, man, because I'm tired of niggas hitting me in my comments in different sections. So, Sadat, you haven't said anything. How do you weigh in on the origins of hip-hop? Or this situation with this rapper saying this? Listen, once and for all, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I got my square, and as long as nothing comes in my square, y'all niggas could have civil war on the outside. You understand? Some of the niggas champion it, okay, but then some niggas look like straight up bitches, B. No, this shit. No, that shit. No, this. Look like a fucking bunch of bitches, B. That's why I said don't ask me about that shit again, B. I don't give a fuck. You understand? Long as my square is untouched, I'm good, B. That's it, man. That's it. I don't give a fuck. What's up, y'all? This is the last time I'm gonna say this, man, because I'm tired of niggas hitting me in my comments and different.
I just saw a correlation, that was all. Some folks would say that's not the issue, and then people took issue with that. And Sadat, I guess he finally felt relevant for the first time in a very, very, very long time. And all of a sudden, see me going back and forth with some of y'all is BS. You got a real problem. D me when you see me. Okay. I'm done, niggers. That changed up real quick, didn't it? That changed up real fast, didn't it? Good morning. Can we go ahead and give me some work? That changed up real quick, didn't it? I'm done, niggers. Sleep well. Peace and love. Protect the babies. Then because he couldn't stop talking, some of y'all is in your feelings. Get some sex and go to sleep. Let's hear another gem of wisdom from him. By the way, this was the same day now. You already heard the first video. He's like, he don't give a damn about nothing but what's happening where he at in his house. Well, he comes back to the rest of the world to follow up on it.
See, on this X shit, like niggas is like, I'm not gonna just be arguing with niggas, man, over shit like that. I got a whole enough shit to do with, and it's enough of y'all niggas doing this shit. Well, y'all go do it. I did my shit. I did shit for 20, 30 years. I'm still here. I'm a general now. Y'all niggas be the soldiers.
Who the hell ever heard of a general who was a damn spectator? Who heard of a general who ain't got no wins? Who heard of a general who's not in any battles? Who heard of a general who literally told you he's standing on his square, which is to run behind the doors of his house. What kind of general does that? A general's on the battlefield. A general is a participant, not a spectator. So you're talking against yourself right now. You might want to rent a dictionary when you start talking about generals. Generals lead people into battle. Generals don't follow the infantrymen. Generals lead the infantry. They don't follow the infantry. So you failed at both basic logic deduction and military science. Hell, military rules of engagement, military hierarchy. What the hell kind of general is advocating that the infantry, y'all go first up there? A general is not a retiree. You cannot be both a retiree and a general. What you say, you cannot give yourself credentials, sir. You can't give yourself status, sir. You don't get to sit up here and grab some Captain Crunch stars and put them on your shoulders and declare yourself a general. That is a honor that has to be bestowed on you by others. You don't get to declare yourself one. And if you have to declare yourself one, that's because you're not. So he was letting y'all know that, yeah, he realized he lost a lot of face. He lost a lot of status. So he had to run back and start the old nigga babble.
And deal with it, nigga.
Let me tell y'all something here. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit biased because I don't have a bunch of gray hairs or anything like that. I still got a black beard and black set of head of hair at this point here. And I'm about as old as these cats are. I really don't have a lot of respect for niggas walking around with gray hair today. I got to say that. I got to say that. I see a bunch of these old niggas. When I see folks out here, I'm like, dude, go get your Just for Men, because when I see gray hairs on niggas today, you're suspect. I know you about to start babbling for respect you haven't earned and credentials you ain't got. And sure enough, when you see them old gray hairs poke themselves out, man, they looking for a non-black chick to snuggle up with. They looking for a hole to go hide off in. And to tell the rest of us that they start talking like old niggas, y'all the problem, you know. If y'all would just ease back, man, it ain't that serious. If you're only worried about what's happening at your house, nigga, get off Twitter. You ain't got nothing to say to the rest of us. We in the field. He's running out here on the field to tell the rest of us about how the fight don't matter. No, dude, the fight does matter. It's you whether you matter is in question. This didn't go well for you at all. And you would have known that if you got out of the house more. By the way, I'm worried about my square. If you actually got out that square more, you would have known this.
Shit like that. I got a whole enough shit to do. And it's enough for y'all niggas doing this shit. Well, y'all go do it. I did my shit. I did shit for 20, 30 years. I'm still here. I'm a general now. Y'all niggas be the soldiers. You know? But to hear some of the niggas, like, one dude said, unsubscribed. Niggas, like, I give a fuck about you unsubscribing from me. You know how bitch shit that's that one dude said, from hero to zero in a couple of seconds. Nigga. Whoever said that, I hope you ain't got no sons. For them to hear you say, from hero to zero. It's like you said, the other dude said, unsubscribe. I'm going to take my ball and go home. I don't give a fuck. You understand all that shit? Listen, I'll be in Brooklyn Saturday. This Saturday coming up. Anybody feel type of way, come on through, yo. We can talk about it or do whatever, son. Like, but I'm not going to just be arguing with niggas like, no. To me, that's some bitch shit. That's what bitches do.
How old is this guy trying to call folk out? I'll be in Brooklyn. You realize how gigantic Brooklyn is. I mean, it's not really gigantic, actually, but, you know, okay. Yeah. Well, needless to say, folks had a lot to say here. A whole lot to say. What is this? Okay. That's funny. My teeth, right? Men that worry about other men's features may have questions about themselves. this particular bunch of niggers somehow been riding on Night Fellas Give a Rest. Go lay up with someone soft. Are you sure they didn't think they found it? Bloody screen fingers, y'all don't like women. This also apparently got under his skin because, yeah, he's still talking and babbling. Still out there talking and babbling. Still out there talking and babbling. Ladies, this the nigga you looking for. Okay. I'm doing my hustle.
Looks pretty right. They left it a little sloppy, but it'll do. It'll do. As you see, it ain't no chairs back here. Decon don't have no chair. Plus, I think may have to train somebody today. So it is what it is. Man, last night, man, I was on X. You know, I don't really go on X. And you know, first of all,
I don't really go on X. Dude, you've been living there all this week. I don't really go on X. You've been living here this week. Find a new lie.
As you see, it ain't no chairs back here. Decon don't have no chair. Plus, I think may have to train somebody today. So it is what it is. Man, last night, man, I was on X. You know, I don't really go on X. And you know, first of all, I already know my teeth is fucked up. It's a nigga on there that's going in about my teeth, this and that. But then I just learned how to make them gifs or whatever them means. I don't use that, but the nigga was putting up 2 and 3 memes. Now, in my mind, I'm like, yo, if your father's still alive or if he's gone, picture him looking down.
So the teeth thing is bothering him there, and I mean, but he said he's standing on his square, so it's, I guess the square, I don't know, does the square not come with a dental plan? I don't know what's going on, but no. Let me not say that because I'm watering it down. And I don't truly desire to do that. That's not what I desire to do. I'm not going to water it down because, you see, here's the issue. The issue is that adversity does not obscure character. It reveals it. He was going back and forth with folk. He's going back and forth with GBS. Whoever the F this nigger is, so in his feelings right now, his fingertips is on fire. You ever so good times when the white adding machine blew up. That's this nigger. Okay, B, you win. You win a golden ticket to Simp Land. It's some niggers out here. And he goes on and on and on and on like that. I could ask where his people are from. I could ask a number of different things in that regard. I could ask that. I will instead say this. The whole reason I'm talking about this tonight is because of the first video that he said. When your people are under fire, you take a look and see who are the cowards who ran. This is all very problematic for the Sadat X's of the world right now because, you see, the internet is forever and the world can document in real time what you did and when you did it and whether or not you had character and whether or not you didn't. And he said exactly what he meant. He said exactly what he meant.
This is the last time I'm gonna say this, man, because I'm tired of niggas hitting me in my comments in different sections. So Sadat, you haven't said anything. How do you weigh in on the origins of hip hop or this situation with this rapper saying this? Listen, once and for all, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I got my square, and as long as nothing comes in my square, y'all niggas could have civil war on the outside. You understand? Some of the niggas champion it, okay, but then some niggas look like straight up bitches, B. No, this shit. No, that shit. No, this. Look like a fucking bunch of bitches, B. That's why I said don't ask me about that shit again, B. Some niggas look like straight up bitches, B. No, this shit. No, that shit. No, this. Look like a fucking bunch of bitches.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and give my thoughts on this. And yes, this is in the context of Robert Brooks. There's a problem with folks who they're attempting to escape something. If you want to know what happened with the old niggas of the civil rights generation, when I have warned you all for decades of what their fundamental flaw and failing was, their fundamental flaw and failing was that they wanted to get back to partying and bull jiving. You got some old nigga with walking around the damn house as if that impresses people. And you got the damn television playing, because that's what old niggas do. They sit around, they watch TV, they're not doing anything relevant. They haven't been relevant, not doing nothing relevant. They just sit around watching TV. That's what makes you useless. He doesn't understand something. He's been in that environment so long, he doesn't even understand the TV is going. He doesn't even understand that. Old niggas standing around in they damn briefs, standing around in their Fruit of the Looms, wanting to lecture people. You see, if you had been talking like this 30 years ago, Sadat, number one, could you have been in Brand Nubian? Damn! And number two, would anybody have bought it if you had been talking like this then? I need y'all to understand that old niggas ain't rich. Old niggas figure as long as they still alive, they're winning. Old niggas figure as long as they're still walking around, they're winning. They take a look at what their mom and dad did, and oh well, if I'm doing better than them, I win. They take a look at people beneath them. I'm doing better than you, I win. Never mind the fact that you have completely devastated what little image you could have had. Never mind that. But then again, when you don't actually move among the soil, you don't know any of this. You don't actually know any of this. And this is emblematic of the problems in New York. New York, I gotta talk to y'all tonight. New York, which serves as so much of a bellwether and an influence, or at least it used to. But there's too many niggas like this up there in New York now. Let's just call it what it is. You see, they're from Brooklyn, but they ain't in Brooklyn.
And deal with it, nigga.
They from Harlem, but they ain't in Harlem. So they move. They go out to Rochester. They go out to Westchester. They go out to Tarrytown. They move on up to Spring Valley. They're out, some of them out in Albany. They just want to, they got theirs, and as far as they're concerned, this video from Sadat X, he says it plainly. I got mine. I don't give a damn what the rest of you ain't got.
With this rapper saying this, listen, once and for all, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I got my square, and as long as nothing comes in my square, y'all niggas could have civil war on the outside. You understand? Some of the niggas champion it, okay, but then some niggas look like straight up bitches, B. No, this shit, no, that shit, no, this. Look like a fucking bunch of bitches.
Yeah. So he's just outright telling you. He's just outright telling you. I lived long enough. I got old and gray. I got old and gray. That's his claim to fame. That's his accolade. That's his accomplishment, is I got old. Now he wants credit because he got old. I need y'all to understand something. Do you understand the reason why We have to have contempt for old niggas who do not prove that they're deserving of respect. Do you all understand that most old niggas think that they should be respected because they got old? But do you realize how much contempt that they've been sitting on since they were young? It's not something that just jumped up one day. You realize this is 30 years of contempt that you're seeing. That finally, when he did get a chance to be seen and when somebody actually gave a damn that he was alive, because when you take a look at these view counts before now, it's the people, you wasn't really the people's champion, bruh, but okay. It was a lonely Thanksgiving, but when he actually did have folk watching him, the real thing came out. That's not something that just jumped up on a random Tuesday. He been sitting on this. Take a look at how easily and effortlessly it just rolled off the tongue.
None of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? I got my square. And as long as nothing comes in my square, y'all niggas could have civil war on the outside. You understand? Some of the niggas...
Take a look at how easily that just rolled off the tongue, spittle and all. Take a look at how easily that happened. That's not accidental. That's been there. Been there the whole time. Been there the whole time. The problem with the old niggas is that they've been waiting a long time for them to be able to tell you to kiss their asses because they were never accepted because we saw what lames you were when you were younger. So you never could really get the type of gravity and grip on respect that you were looking for when you were younger. That's the part that you didn't see. Old lames began as young lames. They were just hoping nobody realized it, and then they didn't realize why they never got the gravity and depth of respect that they thought they should have gotten. And I'm sad to say here, but New York City, whatever is left of it, whoever the riders are left, stand up, wants to tell the truth about that. New York is one of those places where folks are just fighting to get by when they can, but we got to say it like it is. A bunch of folks out there looking to get out. They're looking to get out, man, and they ain't looking out for nobody but they damn selves. They're only looking out for themselves. These are the kind of dudes who will tell you and me it doesn't matter if Cubans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Dominicanas and anything else take over whatever the hell we got. No, because he looking for some interracial sexual access, or in his case, any access at all. I mean, then again, I could be wrong. Oh, I'm going to go there. Since you were the one who brought it up, sir. Since you were the one who brought it up. Hey, y'all, I just thought I would just make it clear let it be known to you here that apparently Sadat thinks that he can lecture all of us about what the ladies are looking for. Apparently he believes that he can lecture all of us about what the ladies are looking for. Clearly he doesn't think that the ladies are looking for a straight set of teeth. So fellas, since apparently he wants to set himself up as an authority on what the rest of us need to be concerned about theirs, and he tells us y'all need to go get them women. So I guess I'm doomed because my teeth look entirely too nice, according to the Sadat X scale. My teeth are apparently entirely too nice. So I don't have any veneers. The Civil War is outside of my mouth, not inside of it. The conflict in my life is outside of my mouth. It's not inside of it. So old niggas love giving out advice. I'm not going to roast him all night for that, but what I am going to say is, sir, since you brought it up, I just thought I would make the observation. But, Yeah, what I'm saying is, ladies, New York ladies, line up. Sadat X is available.
Nigga, please.
To my ladies in New York, according to Sadat X, his tooth game is not affecting his appeal with the ladies. So he is utterly unconcerned about what's happening with everybody else because he's straight, even if his bicuspids aren't. But as far as he's concerned, that's it. So ladies, fellas, according to Sadat X, is good. Jason, what does this have to do with Robert Brooks? What I'm saying is that, do you realize this nigga, and I said that,
And deal with it, nigga.
you realize in the midst of everything else that's going on, we are years after Sean Bell, years after Eric Garner, which is where all this really began from, when we noticed who was standing with us and who was actually standing against us. And here he jumps up, and lineage does matter, sir. And he wants to tell all of us, the old nigga who ain't put in no work, put in no time, he's certainly not holding no weight today. And he's jumping up to tell all of us it's every man for himself. You want to know why it is that these white supremacists can kill Robert Brooks or anybody else up there with impunity? Because Daniel Pentalio is walking the streets. And all the rest of them are walking the streets. Gun down Sean Bell and walking the streets. You want to know why that is? Because you take a look at the cultural politics in New York. The cultural politics in New York, we got to call it for what it is. The cultural politics in New York is every man for himself. Even amongst the group of people who cannot afford to have that attitude or to have that mindset. Every man and every woman for themselves. That makes you easy pickings for the folks who come after you as a group. That makes you easy pickings. This is a problem in New York, and it's not a new one. What I'm telling you all is that I've spent decades railing against the concept of backstabbing cultures. Me for me is the epitome of backstabbing culture. Me, myself, and I. I'm worried about my square. So let me get this straight. In New York City, old niggas like Sadat X, they square is their house. Meanwhile, for the whites, Asians, and Italians, their square is the city and the planet. That's their square. I've warned you all about backstabbing cultures because backstabbing cultures require you to offer each other up as sacrificial lambs and just hoping that today is not your day. And take a look at how Robert Brooks is surrounded by jackals. There's a camera on one of the jackals here. You can't even see him because his camera's pointing away from him, but you see the zipper of his jacket. So there were more guys in there than you see on here. Why do they do that? Why do they think they can get away with that? Why do they think they can get away with that locally? Why do they think they can get away with that statewide? It's because there's a group of folk there who have made it clear that they can get away with that. Because those folks are only looking out for themselves, which by definition means that they're unconcerned if something happens to you. I'm all the way in Louisiana. I came to New York to get niggas on code and say that Central Park Karen thing, hell no, we got to have legislation for that. I'm from Louisiana. If we pass a law in Louisiana, it is significant. It can be. You pass it in New York or California, that sends reverberations around the country and around the planet. And the reason why you do not have a black hate crime bill in New York, go ask Sadat X why you don't have one. Better yet, don't ask him. He'll tell you it's your fault and you deserve that. But take a look at him as the example. 30 years in the game. He should be I would say that he should be an intellectual thought leader, but first you have to have some thoughts. You think that people get older and wiser, but in many cases they just get older. And they're glad that somebody is paying them attention. And if they pay attention, they want to sit up here and try to elevate themselves as if they're doing so great and so grand and so wonderful. The rest of you need to listen to that. So when they get a bit older and they have to start wearing reading glasses and the hearing's not where it was before, and they don't have the money together to get some of those basic health services there, and is the beard filled out here, so they're not looking like they're not young men anymore. The only thing you can lean on now is your character or lack thereof. Tell me, what are the young fellas in New York learning from the Sadat X's about how to navigate in a state where they murder you with impunity? What do they have to learn from his example? What is he teaching them? And he's just one among many, by the way. He's just one among many. New York is a problem. And that's an issue for the rest of us because it has influence over what happens nationally. It doesn't have the influence that it used to have, but it still has influence nationally. And it's very, very important that New York stop and take a look at this. The reason for us slamming on the brakes about hip hop and the Fat Joe thing was, in the words of Dr. John Henry Clark, it is not to attack our brothers and sisters in New York. It is to scream, it is time to get your house in order. Because you got dudes like this. A bunch of the old heads. They used to be young niggas, now they old heads, and they're replicating the buffoonery and lampoonery and butt dancing of the old niggas that sold them out. So in other words, they've only wanted to get old enough so they could buy themselves a little cottage somewhere or a little townhouse somewhere so they can go sell everybody else out. Not so they can lead the way to a better place, and certainly not so they can serve as the vanguard. You see, the reason why we respect what we've seen from Lord Jamar is that when Lord Jamar saw this, he had something to lose. Lord Jamar had something to lose. He had something to lose. And what did he do when he had something to lose? He put all of his chips on the table and said, I'm standing on this 10 toes down, even though he had something to lose. He put all his chips, all his cachet, all the status that he's earned, he put all of that up and said, I'm putting all this on the table and I want to cash it in now. That matters. That matters. That serves as an example to everyone else. That's the reason that he's being respected right now, because he had something to lose and he said, I'm going to put it on the table. I'm going to cash it in. I'm cashing it in right here. Sadat X was faced with the same choice. You see, this is what reveals character. Sadat X also had the same choice. And what he said is, I ain't putting nothing on the table. Nothing at all. I'm not risking nothing. I ain't putting up nothing. And let that be your epitaph. But I want to remind you all, you see, New York has a dichotomy here. There's a reason why we have to call this in. New York has a dichotomy and has a schism and has a split personality in this regard. You got riders and then you got rats. On the one hand, New York is a stronghold for riders, but on the other hand, New York has also been a breeding ground for rats. And it becomes very easy to single somebody out and murder them. It becomes very easy to carry out modern day lynchings when the enemy knows that your people got an infestation of rats. The entire reason for the movement discussing about delineation is because it is important to make it clear that we understand that we cannot survive in a culture of rats. And many of these people who come from places that have been culturally colonized, intellectually colonized, and physically colonized, it has created a rat culture. And then they come here amongst us and then start disseminating their rat culture. When you talk about black men getting killed in the system and whatnot, you don't have the luxury of a rat culture. Coming all the way to Robert Brooks, you don't have that luxury. I'd like to tell you that the sickness and the disease was limited simply to old, washed up, has-been rappers, but the truth of the matter is it isn't. I want to go back here to remind you about something that I've been speaking on for a while. The attorneys. There's a reason that these folk feel like they can get away with this kind of stuff. They feel like they can get away with that because they've been checking and watching. They know who it is who's defending you. They know where you have to go. We don't have a battalion of Johnny Cochrans. We don't have that. You don't have people who make it very clear that they're using the system in such a manner that it forces you to start changing laws. What I'm telling you is that we find ourselves in the precarious and devastating position of having to beg the very people who victimize us to walk into these places and defend us. This is the other dimension of the murder of Robert Brooks. We haven't discussed about, and no, I am not afraid to talk about the family's attorney, because how you do one thing is how you do all things. And ma'am, your attitude about all this is a bit too Pollyannish for me. Very lackadaisical. I know a rider when I see one. I know a rider when I hear one. You are anything but. So I don't know what bus bench that his family picked up your number on, but you're not. I don't think you're the one they need, based on what I've seen and heard. The murder of Robert Brooks sits firmly at the feet of our malfeasant. I can't even call you a legal class because we don't have one. All you have is a bunch of aspiring wannabe ambulance chasers. They aspire to be bottom feeders and scavengers. They don't desire to be excellent at what they do, and they damn sure don't desire to change the environment around them. All of them are looking to use the legal profession as their stop to be able to get a bag. That's all they're looking for. And that's it. They're not concerned about anything else. Period. This is your legal community. This is them. This is why you end up having to do that. This is why. They gave up any legitimacy that they had a long damn time ago. You're looking around to find out where the hell they're at. You and me shouldn't have to do that. You see, Jewish people don't have to jump up. If a Jewish person is attacked or done wrong, their people have a battalion. They have an army of folk who are going to come riding in. They have an army of people who already got them. And it's not just the lawyers, it's going to be lawyers and judges and everyone else. They already got everything that they need in place. And they are not being targeted. Then you come over here on our side, and we just got to call it for what it is. Our so-called legal class, man, them niggas are looking out for themselves. If you were wondering what the connection was to Sadat X and the others in New York, your black lawyers in New York, let's call it for what it is, they're looking out for themselves, man. They're just looking out for themselves. That's all. They're just looking out for them. Even if you can afford an attorney there, it doesn't do you any good because they're just looking out for them. We need that. We have needed that for some time, but I have to tell you right now, you don't need just one. You don't need just one. When they show those pictures of all those so-called black females, no, they got so many judges signed up and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, what good does that do you there? Because if you do not have an entire legal system that's going to protect you, you got a problem. One person cannot do it by themselves. One Judge Olu Stevens certainly helps, but we need an entire apparatus. And in New York City, after all these decades, should have had that. What happened? And how did that affect everybody else? In the chat room, Chino Will said, I've never seen a black lawyer in New York City. Dude, I was going to mention that here next. Black lawyers in New York are rare. Competent black lawyers are damn near non-existent. Let's call it for what it is. You so-called black lawyers in New York, man, come on, let's just call it what it is here. They skirt chasing. They bag chasing. They want little quick, ugly bags. They're not crusaders. We don't have the Thurgood Marshalls. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. They've been allowed to be in certain places. They've been allowed to be in certain places. They've been allowed to get into certain places, and that is all they're looking for. That's it. That's it. And these other folk know it. I want y'all to understand that in the judicial system, these other folk know that. They know that. You don't have an Adam Clayton Powell anymore. You don't have that anymore. And you don't have anyone fighting to get in that position. That's how you ended up. That's why New York is a problem. What are the priorities? They bought off so many folk with rent control and interracial sexual access. Now that one right there, New York can line you up for that in a heartbeat. They can line you up for that one in a heartbeat. But these other folk, these other issues, New York is out to lunch. There is no agenda there. You're supposed to have these old heads. They're supposed to have that lined up. They're not doing that. You go and talk to them, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that they're looking out for themselves. That's what happened to your legal community. That's what happened to your legal class. Because it's become the culture up there to, quote, look out for yourself. Okay, but these other folk ain't playing that game. None of them are looking out for themselves. All of them are operating as a group. They're operating as a group. They're operating as a block. You don't get to be old and white in New York City looking out for yourself. You don't get to be old and white and respected among white people in New York City looking out for you. Somebody white dies in New York, the first thing they let you know in the Italian community, the Irish community, first thing they start talking about is what they did for other folk, how they helped other people, how they were important to that. That's what they talk. In the Jewish community, that's what you hear. New York City has influence on things, but unfortunately, New York City, has created an environment where folks are patting themselves on the back for saying every man for themselves. Even when you're looking at things like this, even when you're looking at ultra gentrification, even when you see those things happening. And that's why it is that I made it a point to point this out, because by the way, what are you telling those coming up after you? What do they have to look forward to? What are you leading on? What are you telling them? That the status quo is okay. What you need to do, go get you a house and a car and some Latina chick who doesn't mind what your incisors or bicuspids are doing. Damn! Go get you, what you need to worry about, just get you a car and a house and you just keep to yourself. Just keep to yourself. Let me explain to you all the logical and emotional fallacy of the nonsense that he was saying there. People, when I tell you that white supremacy is global, it's not an American thing. America, of course, kicked in overdrive. But white supremacy is not confined to the United States. It's not confined to the state of Louisiana. It's not confined to the state or city of New York. It's not confined to North America. People, when I tell you that, what I mean isn't just that it's not confined to this continent, that it spreads outside of this continent. I also mean the reverse. White supremacy is everywhere, including inside your house.
And deal with it.
That's what I mean when I say that white supremacy is global. Not simply that white supremacy has spread outside of your home as far away as you can go. It also invades your home. It spread internally as far in your house. There's not a nook or cranny in your house where white supremacy is not. It is everywhere. Well, Jason, I don't have any white supremacist memorabilia. We don't have any white Jesus statues here. We don't worship the Confederate flag. We don't bow or scrape. What I mean, though, is that white supremacy has the power to kick in your door, deprive you of your rights, to accuse you of anything or accuse you of nothing. Your home is not a sanctuary from white supremacy except emotionally and maybe mentally. But it is not physically a sanctuary. Now, if you listen to Sadat X, he's telling you y'all can do that out there. The reason why the Fat Joe discussion was so pivotal is because what Joe was doing was not simply affecting New York. It wasn't simply affecting Central Park. It wasn't just simply affecting Ocean. It wasn't just simply affecting Flatbush. It was affecting all of us everywhere. Our square is universal, not local. It was affecting everywhere. So even what he was doing up there is affecting me down here in my house. It's affecting me here. And that is a sign of intelligence when you realize that. When you realize that actually your home is not impervious to white supremacy and it is not immune to white supremacy. Your house is the place you stay, but you are ignorant and foolish if you think that you are immune from it simply because you got a house and a car. Those are coping mechanisms and opioids. They're not actual physical constructs or real. That's something in between your ears. And for you to poison the minds of these young men to tell them that these issues are out there somewhere, and as long as your mortgage is paid off, these old niggas kill me with that. I did a program on my other YouTube channel talking about these old niggas. I had to go in. I said, man, y'all need to understand something. These old niggas ain't got it like that. And they don't want to spend no money, especially when they get old and wore out. They on a fixed income. Man, look here. They ain't trying to spend nothing. What they got is what they got, and that's it. They want to figure out how they're going to preserve that for the rest of their damn lives. And Sadat just let you know he wants a peaceful death. You want to know how it is that Robert Brooks could be done like that? Because this is the attitude of his black male peers in New York. Half of them talking about looking out for themselves. That's the reflexive response. Looking out for themselves. That's what they're telling you. Looking out for themselves. Went through all of this and went through all that work allegedly here, and you've been in the business and this, that, and the other, and he's got a following, well, meager and modest as it is. And this is the culture. And so this is why we've gone to work to weed that out. This is why we've gone to work to weed that out. That's essential for us to do that. We start talking about, by the way, this off-code thing. New York has for decades been a haven of folk who are on code and folk who are riders. But there is an off-code culture that has infected New York. Its origin is up for discussion. But regardless, I wanted you all to know that when you talk about Robert Brooks, please understand that that is really symbolic of a wider spread issue. That's really symbolic of a wider spread issue. However, you might disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom here for folks to go ahead and give us a call in. It's a somber program here tonight. It's a very serious situation, but it is one that is very much in need of discussion, and it will be. Robert Brooks' murder did not happen in a vacuum. In a place like New York, where folks sit up here and lollygag and play around, and you got Times Square and jumping around and joking about is the thing to do. And meanwhile, not in Mississippi, not in Alabama, not in New Orleans, but in New York, you can be murdered with impunity on video, and your elected representatives are standing around. So let me get this straight. You can move legislation in the blink of an eye to go ahead and get you drugs and legalize prostitutes and this, that, and the other. Black folk are getting murdered up there and no movement. That means something. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, Mr. Fontes, and everybody else here. Mr. Richburg, thank you very much for your support. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When I come back, Zoom will be opened here. May have a couple of you that I'm going to require to call in here shortly. This is the Black Channel.
Is your child struggling in school? Wish there was a way to get them the extra help they need? Mr. B, the teacher, is available for online tutoring on both tutor.com and varsitytutors.com platforms. He can help your child in a variety of subjects and is passionate about making learning fun and effective. And for even more learning tips, check out his book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, now available on Amazon.com. For more information or to reach him directly, go to MrBTheTeacher.com today.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snakes and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneyBadgerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. We're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom now. The link has been pinned at the top of the chat room here. Please remember that if you're on Zoom, the only thing I ask you to do is make sure you have your camera and your microphone on, just so we don't have any trolling. Nobody else is going to see you except for me. But if you're on Zoom, please make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues. YouTube will not see you. The only person who will see you is me, just so we make sure we don't have any trolling issues. We got folks lined up on Zoom, by the way. They're starting to pile up in over there, so let me go ahead and jump on that right quick. Let me see if I can get Kathlika here on Zoom. All right, Kathlika, and what's on your mind?
What's going on, Mr. Black? This is Mr. Fontes in the chat room. I'm using my wife's Zoom. But very sombering. Very sombering. This is not difficult. The other day I was watching Cosby's with my daughter, and on that episode, the old ladies were talking about how these other groups of people were charging more for the food and they couldn't get acceptable prices and all these type of things. And here it is, we're still speaking about the same thing in that category. And then you still see what happened to poor brother. I just want to say, brothers and sisters, difficult it ain't. When I grew up, somebody told me, if they don't want to fuck with you, you don't fuck with them. Don't talk to them. If they mess with you and yours, then, we're going to have a conversation. And I don't want to sound, like, hey, it's all about the rah-rah. But I remember 10 years ago, Mr. Black, when I got tipped to you and Mr. Nasheed, I had a gathering at my house, and I called all the neighborhood friends. I think I had almost like 30 people, and there was only 2 people in that whole goddamn room who was like, yeah, I feel this, we need to do something about it. And 2 of those persons was myself and another gentleman, and we went to work, and we started building, putting money into things that we believe in and making sure that we can hold the ball. But you're not getting that all the way around. These lawyers down here, just as New York, they're horrible. And you gotta mention the tethers that are lawyers too, that'll sell you on up the road. So, I just want to say to the brothers and sisters, talking is over with. I think the time for negotiation is out. I think that we're going to have to rightfully take our place, and some of us are going to have to get some lumps and bruises on our heads.
Well,
So
you said
it.
something there that really matters when you said looking out for you and yours. Here's the issue. In Jewish society, they're very clear about who you and yours is.
That's right.
In Asian society, they're very clear about who you and yours, us and ours is. They're very clear about that. We used to be very crystal clear about that ourselves. Yeah. Then we lost our way. Every man for himself and this, that, and the other. That's the road to damnation. Now we're getting folks back on code. On code is letting you know it's not every man for himself. It's we all we got. These other folks can make moves, but they're not making moves as individuals. Nobody's coming after you as an individual. They know they got a system to back you. They did not jump on Robert Brooks like that as individuals. They jumped on him because they know they got a system that will back them.
Yes.
They were like, we represent what the rules really are. So first and foremost, we have to be clear about who me and mine are. And then once that is what it is, that's what it's got to be. It cannot be that when it's convenient, or if there's some sex on the table, or if there's a big enough bag for it. But there's more to this I want to go into, though. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
There's more than I want to go into here because in the super chat there, Pugilism Company asked a question. He says, so what's the reason why we don't have a plethora of black professional doctors and attorneys to help our communities? They are difficult to find in Dallas-Fort Worth. When I ask for a black doctor, all I get is African doctors and white attorneys. And to be clear, like I say, I mean, that's a good question to ask. There's a simple, straightforward answer. First of all, we have not invested in a class of people like that. What has been the priority? The priority is to get attention. The priority is to do things that make you feel better. The priority has been, let me go get a house and a car. Let me go get a house and a car. And damn everybody else. So we've been telling folks to go into survival mode. And in survival mode, they've been looking out for just themselves. When we were, before integration, when it was very firm that we were under the enemy's boot, you didn't have any choice but to work together. So what they did was they realized, oh, we can split you up better if we start handing out a few cookies here or there. That'll be just enough to get enough of you distracted. What happened to your professional class? I'll tell you what happened to your professional class, your doctors and your attorneys. They go to law school, they go to medical school, and they're sitting there the whole time training with only one objective. Who is the white firm or white company or white hospital that I can go to work for? That becomes their goal. So while they're sitting in medical school and doing their finals and they're sitting in law school, that's what they're thinking. They have bought off the entire class of 2025, 26, 27, 28 before they even get out. That's what I'm telling you. They've bought them off before they even get out. They're sitting in there, can't wait to get out so they can go to work for the biggest company they can. And whatever issues, quote unquote, the community got, that's too bad for you. I got mine. That's how old niggas start out as young niggas looking out only for themselves. I got mine. That's why the few black lawyers you can name, they're showing up on MSNBC. They got them bought and paid for. I got mine. So you see, I don't think that we can even begin in the law schools. I don't think we can begin there. I think it really has to begin with people who have raised their children correctly, that their children are on a mission. And those are the ones we need to be looking at, not the ones in law school, not the ones in medical school. We can't trust them. We can't trust them. They are looking to get co-opted by the system. They're looking to improve their place in the system so they can sit back, style, profile, skirt chase, zaddy chase, and everything else. So we're going to have to start looking for middle schoolers and high schoolers that we can watch and monitor and make sure they're on the straight and narrow. And then we can start funding that. I truly believe that that's how bad things have deteriorated to, that we can't even look in the law schools today. They're going to law school. They either want to work for a white firm or they want to go into politics so they can get paid off by the white Democrat Party. But this is what we're up to, ideologically speaking. We got to make sure that if we did try to support somebody and put together like a scholarship or something, which we could do, but man, first, you got to make sure their heads are on straight. So I don't think that we can look as recently, and it takes about a decade to become a doctor or a lawyer. I don't think you can look as recently as the last 10 years. I think you're going to have to go back 15. We're going to have to look at somebody who got 15 years to go before they get there. Because these other folks have been bought off. I mean, these white hospitals, these white law firms, they come through throwing a bag at your best and brightest, throwing opportunities at your best and brightest, and they're looking to get took. Then when they go to work for them folk, that's the last time they'll do anything over here. They're looking to improve their position within those companies and those firms and those hospitals. And that's what it becomes. So let me be very, very clear about this. I was wanting to sponsor a scholarship over a decade ago. I wanted to sponsor that over a decade ago. Please understand that. I just couldn't figure out why it didn't seem feasible for a long time. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized you're not making any traction with the black law students. Folks, we talk about the black lawyers, but please remember they started as black law students. The black law students are not talking to us. The black law students think they're slick. The black law students are looking for the best zaddy company they can get booed up with. So when we talk about the failings and shortcomings of the black so-called legal class, you really need to start in the law schools right now because it's germinating right there as we speak. We don't have anybody we can depend on there right now. They've got them co-opted. They got their heads screwed on backwards right now today, sitting in that place. Right now today. New York, California, Florida, Louisiana, Georgia. You can go down the list. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. I got a bunch of folks lined up on Zoom here tonight, folks. So please try to be concise here. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Ann up here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get Ann up here on Zoom. Ann, I just need you to make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on for me just so we don't have any trolling issues. No one will see you except me. Everybody who's on Zoom, please make sure you have a camera and microphone turned on just so we don't have any trolling issues. That is all. No one else is going to see you except for me, but we just need to make sure we don't have any trolling issues so we can have a serious conversation. And I can give you 2 more seconds to go ahead and rectify that for me. Then we're going to have to go ahead and move on because we have a lot of folks sitting on the Zoom tonight waiting to speak. So to everyone wanting to get on, please make sure you have that taken care of. Ann has decided not to join us, so we're going to go ahead and move on. Everyone on Zoom, once again, please make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on just so we don't have any trolling issues. No one else is going to see you except for me, but I do have to insist that to make sure that the trolls don't have any access. Please make sure you have that taken care of for us here. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Soprano on here. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Soprano up here, folks. Please make sure that you are watching on your Zoom and whatnot. If you walked away to go make some spaghetti or something, it might be a bad time to do it. All right, Soprano, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. I think we got to go back a little bit further than college. We got to go junior high school to start molding these kids. Unfortunately, you got the media, internet, and everything else being slammed at these kids so hard that their thought process is be a ball player or be a rapper, be some kind of video vixen or something like that. You know, no longer are the parents imputing upon the children education in the form of be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a professor, you know, something of that sort. But it's unfortunate. But New York problem, I'm going to tell you what the New York problem is. Half of the cats in New York that sexual access to other races and other nationalities, that's big. That's real big. The colorism is real big. That's a problem. New York, we got a real big problem, and we got to admit that. And we got to have the balls and the courage to say, hey, we got a problem, and that's the first step in changing what's going on. Jason, you're absolutely right, brother. Thank you for what you do, and I land my plane right there, bro. Peace.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, at every level, y'all, the New York State, the mayor's office, the police department, they know that's a weakness for a lot of folks. They're in the city and they want to have their own little voluptuary lifestyle. So next thing you know, they don't have a mission anymore. Getting them distracted and getting them off code is too damn easy. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Devon up here on Zoom. I got Devon here. You need to turn a light on for us, Devon. Let me go ahead and see if we can get that taken care of, folks. I can't dally around a whole lot tonight here. So, Devon, I can give you a couple more seconds here to get that taken care of. Otherwise, we got to move on. Okay, Devon is busy in the dark, so let me let them go. Let me see if I can get Gene up here on Zoom. All right, we got Gene on Zoom. Which borough you calling me from, Gene?
I'm actually calling you from D.C., brother.
Okay, he went down the street on 95. What's on your mind?
So, I just want to say, family, that to you, Jason, I've been listening to you and Professor Truth since 2014. And one thing you brothers have told me is I can be disgusted by white supremacy, but never surprised. Okay? You guys also told me that every so often, white supremacy got to conjure up this cacophony to, scare us or have us to accept the ideology of a global apartheid. So, this is just something white supremacy do. I am completely disgusted by it. So far as the young man, can I just be candid with you, Jason? I don't even know what damn rap era this guy came from. All I know is he was spitting like hell in the phone, and it was quite disgusting. And when people constantly say they don't care about something, at the same time responding to that something, it just shows just how asinine they actually thinks. And they're not worth listening to.
Well, like I say, Sadat might have been a more recent, worse example of it, but he's far from the only one. I've been yelling about this for years. I was warning them. I'm like, hey, tell Rakim he can't talk like that about Eminem. Don't do that. When you old heads sit up there and talk like that, you are destroying the cultural legacy and cultural cachet. Because if we have to delegitimize you, which is what we've had to do, by the way, right. When we have to delegitimize you old heads, we basically got to start over again. Now, we're not starting over from zero. But we got to move you to the side. And that's the reason why we cannot tolerate that kind of thing. Because it's not just you selling out. He's sitting up there with his little cottage house and whatnot. Okay, dude, you're not just selling yourself out. You're selling the rest of us out. Because this is not yours to sell out. New York is not yours to sell out. Our presence is not yours to sell out. Whitewashing and stuff, that's not yours to sell out. It's not just affecting you, it's affecting all of us. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. You're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting all of us. All of us. That's why we can't allow that. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Terrence up here on Zoom next. Terrence on Zoom. All right, Terrence.
What's going on, bro?
What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, I'm here living in New York right now, and everything you say is basically the truth. we have to delineate because the culture class is just ain't Dick. It's just not getting it. We're going a different way than other cultures that are Black or Hispanic are going in New York. And it's been like that for the last 30 plus years. So, yeah, we got to start delineating the old class, like the Sadat X and everything. Yeah, they think that time makes the man, but it's what you do with that time that makes the man. And just because you got time in the game or, time or, age, that don't make you an authority figure. It doesn't make you a OG or whatever. So, yeah, the cultures, West Sydney or whatever, they're not on the same line as us. They don't think the same way we do. They don't address issues the same way we do. So New York, we have to delineate. There's too many different cultures, too many backgrounds here. And, we just got to thin the herd.
Well, look, New York used to have a lot less tolerance for being off code. You couldn't, what's not saying now, you couldn't have said this 30 years ago. You simply could not have done that. That's what we got to get back to. The good news is this is a conversation that's spreading, and very clearly from the comments and everything else, a lot of folks see it's the issue, but I want to do a wake-up call here because this issue, like with Robert Brooks, and he's the one that made the news. Robert's just the one that made the news. This happens all the time in New York. That's just the one that made the news. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. I don't want us to get it twisted on that at all. Robert Brooks is just the one that made the news. They beat that man to death up there in New York, and he's just the one that made the news. What about all the damn others? Khalif Browder. What about all the others, man? They talked about Khalif. That was just the one that made the news, too. I want us to get focused on the fact that that's become the norm. When you get to the norm, it's just like, then you become ho-hum about it. You let it become the norm, and the next thing you know, you become ho-hum. When they got you being indifferent to it, that's an issue. When you're on a war footing, you're teaching your children. We should have a bunch of children that are ready for us to go ahead and get them out of high school into law school. That's what we need to have. That should be set up there right now. And that's not something that I blame on social media. If you got parents, social media do not run your kids. If social media and the internet have more influence with your children than you do, you're a piss poor, pathetic excuse for a parent. If the internet has more influence over your children than you, drop them kids off at an orphanage. They need to do a hell of a whole lot better than you. All right, let me go ahead and get Frank up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Frank?
Yeah, good evening, Jason. So I wanted to say that I watched the actual video of the murder of Robert Brooks, and there are just no words. It was a really disgusting and nasty thing to see, and it's just a reminder that we as Black people, no matter where you come from, you can't just think that there's any corner of this earth where you can go relax and think that you can hide from white supremacy and not have to worry about them, because they will find you. And when they find you, they might decide that you're the one that they want to use, to set an example, because they should all be, they deserve to be tortured continually for the rest of their life. There's just not enough punishment, like going to prison or anything like that. Even the death penalty would be a mercy for them. They deserve something worse than the death penalty. And I also noticed that even on the article that you're showing, they separate the beating from the death, like the two are not connected. Like they say, footage shows NY officers beating prisoner before death, like
as if they're not related, as if it's questionable whether the beating killed him. But remember, they've been perfecting this for a long time. The media, we white and we say so. That's why I brought up Daniel Penny. They did the exact same thing there. Walked there in the court and got some quack from Texas. I mean, well, just because he was choking him doesn't mean that the choking him killed him. The medical examiner says it did. Yeah, I mean, but just because he was choking him doesn't mean he killed him. Remember, we saw them say the same thing about Eric Garner. We saw them say the same thing then too. So when you turn, same thing with George Floyd. Every time you turn around and see one of those lynchings like that, they tell you reality is exactly what we say it is. I have a few ideas. I'm not really sure I should even say it, to be totally honest. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I'll walk on the wild side tonight or something, because I really feel like I want to say something about that. Thank you very much for giving this call tonight, Frank. Y'all, what do you want to do about this in New York? What do you want to do about this in New York? The election is over, but black empowerment does not take a holiday. What do we do about that in New York there? You got folks out there who say they represent you. I feel like we need to make some phones ring. I feel like we need to shut down some switchboards. I feel like we need to go ahead and tell them, get your ass up. Christmas vacation is over. I feel like we need to make an issue out of this. If you can sit up here and jump up in Albany and sit up here and make a retroactive law so you can go get Diddy and Donald Trump, then why the hell is it we don't have a look back law for all these black folk who've been murdered in New York State by the system? So New York, since you've very clearly proven, Kathy Hochul, that you have no problem and no issue and no difficulty passing look back laws to let you go backwards on folk, well, there's no reason you can't do that now. Thank you very much for setting that precedent. Now that you've proven you can do it in record time, I think it's about time for us to get on your ass for another record. So, brothers and sisters from all around the world, I want to ask you all tonight for something that we have not discussed for a couple of years now. A couple of years ago, when I was chasing Rolling the Bowling Ball Martin around my state and he was hiding all over the damn Superdome. That's a big building for that big bastard to hide in, but apparently it's big enough that he found a corner to hide in. But during that time, I took out a brief moment because you'll remember that there was a individual on Twitter who was mocking us. There was an individual on Twitter who was mocking the foundation. And he was talking about his credentials in Pace University. And I held a program and I said, you know what? We need to talk to Pace. We need to get them because he's online talking about his credentials. I think we need to say something about that. And I'll be damned. We did exactly that. We took a day off to do exactly that. And next thing you know, lit up the damn world about it. Old boys backing down. Pace University's kicking them out. Folks got real quiet and real silent. This is 20 times more important than that was. So I'm going to ask my brothers and sisters from around the world. This will be up to you, but the reason I have to ask you is because I cannot do this alone. I can't. But I'm willing to look into it to try. Do you all think that we need to hold a special broadcast and a special program so that we can see about contacting whoever in the world is supposed to be your representatives up there in New York, because that's how you got things done in California for reparations. If you think that I should hold a special program, and that special program is just a telethon where we all gonna get on code, you're all gonna load up on your phones, and we're gonna light Albany up. If you agree with me, if you back me on that, if you think that's something that's viable and that's something that we should do and must do, give me the telephone emoji in the chat room and tell me you'll be there. Give me the telephone emoji in the chat room and tell me you'll be there for it. If that's you and me and us and we, if you think that's something we need to do, I am willing to lead the charge. This ain't Sadat X. If that's something that you feel like we need to do, if you feel like that's relevant, hell, I might get another billboard up there, damn it. What? But if you feel like that's the time we own, if you're willing to back the play on that, I am willing to get up. I don't give a damn what time it is during the day. Now, I don't know what their schedule is like next week, but damn it, we can do this damn thing tomorrow morning. I don't give a damn. We can get it cracking first thing in the morning. We can get it cracking on them first thing in the morning. Whoever in the hell was sponsoring those look back things so you can go after Diddy and Trump, Whoever did that, get off your ass. You're going to go after these white supremacists in the system now. Since you demonstrated and shown you can do that, you're going to do the exact same thing to them now. Now that you've shown us you can, and you can't give us any excuses about, caucuses and committees. Oh, hell no. You already showed us you got the political will. You can get that done quick, fast, and in a hurry. So glad to hear that and to see that. Or otherwise, ain't gonna be no phone calls. That's it. This will just be your agenda right here. Vacation is over. Right now, it looks like folks are in agreement on that. Jason, why New York? Because this is the kind of thing right there that changes stuff when you put that together. Jason, you out your neck of the woods. The world is my neck of the woods. Anywhere my people are is my neck of the woods. We talk about a black hate crime bill. We can start in New York. Reparations in California, hate crime bill in New York. We can start there. We can start there. I'm all for it. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom. Let me get John over here on Zoom. John, we can give you a few moments here. Go ahead and get loaded up here. John over here on Zoom. Folks, please make sure if you're on Zoom or whatnot, please make sure you're watching it there. Got a bunch of folks sitting and waiting in the wings on that. To be totally honest with you right here, like I said, I want to get geared up for something tomorrow, to be totally honest. When we make that move, by the way, I'm going to give you all plenty of notice on that. All right, we got John on Zoom. John, what's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, my brother? Let me turn this off. Yes, I want to, first of all, Jason, great broadcast. I want to just speak to how dangerous what Sadat X is doing. Now, you spoke earlier about the gray hair man. You see, my hair is gray. 2-3 years ago, I had a Hispanic dude target me because he thought I was a soft target. Road rage, jump out, calling me a bunch of N-words, bust my window with a golf club, and I ended up stumping him out in the middle of the street in Sacramento. I had to save another black guy in East Palo Alto from getting beat up by a group of Arabs from the store, and another one in San Francisco. California, we got a problem too. We just as bad as New York. We let these fools use the N-word out here as much as they do in New York. We just haven't had the big incident yet. But many incidences, I know another sister just a year ago who got a hate crime performed on her in San Francisco. Police haven't done anything yet, and she's been off work almost a year. So, when people like Sadat, if you're not going to get out there and fight your own battle, you better empower these young people who will. And to these old dudes, you better keep your exercise on because they're coming for you.
Well, I mean, he was posting up about that too, but by the way, he's not even worried about the wrong thing. He's talking about if somebody runs up on him. Meanwhile, dude, you're not relevant enough. There's the real problem. You're not relevant enough for that to even happen. The real thing is you're besmirching the name Brand Nubian. There's the real thing is that you messing up that brand. We just making an issue of it and say, hey, get him about the paint because you messing up the brand. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and see if I can get David up here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and see if we can load David up here on Zoom. Folks are still kicking in with the telephone emojis and whatnot, so we're going to see about picking a day. Who knows? It might be more than one. It might be more than one. All right, we got David up here on Zoom. David, what's on your mind? Unmute yourself, David. Okay, David is being astounded by this newfangled technology. David, we don't have all night, sir.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, man, as a former rapper, man, I can't tell you, because I was rapping in the 90s, man, I can't tell you how heartbreaking it was to hear Sadat X say that. If you had told me Sadat X said those words without a video, I would have argued you down. Because Brand Nubians was about the culture, man. And when Fat Joe talked about Lord Jamar was the wackest dude in the group. I'm like, it was no whack dudes in that group. Who was whack in that group? Saying anybody was whacking Brand Nubians is like saying somebody was whacking Wu-Tang. These people, man, they're getting on my nerves, bro. And if you're going to do that telephone thing with calling New York and getting some act right out these people, we need to do the same thing with those law schools with anybody that's an FBA in it. We need to talk to them. We need what you going to do? What you going to the law school for?
Yeah, I mean, that's a real conversation that needs to be had at the HBCU level. So all my folks at the HBCUs and whatnot, they're talking about, we get most of our black lawyers come out of HBCUs. Okay, and take a look at what the hell they become. So very clearly you're at your HBCUs and y'all are not having a black conversation with your aspiring black attorneys about what the hell they gonna do with their black credentials. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Obviously, they're not having a conversation with him about that. They're obviously not doing that. If they were, it'd be different. I want to say something here right quick here tonight. I want to say something. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for y'all doing that. Thank you very much for y'all doing that. I want to just say I always get support and love from people. I appreciate that. When I talk about going in on these things, if I do get billboards and stuff, I'm going to pay for that myself. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am esteemed to everyone in that regard. If that kind of thing does happen, I'm going to throw that down myself because I want folks to know I'm leading by example. If it goes there, I want to lead by example. But trust me, y'all got your role to play on it. Y'all got your role to play on it. But I appreciate y'all. You humble me. It really, really does. This is what makes things change, is when you know you got folks on deck to back you up in that regard. Because you all got things, you got stuff, you got bills to pay for, but being able to move like that, that's the important thing. And New York is not cheap, by the way. New York is not cheap for billboards at all. It's the worst. However, our survival isn't up for a budget. And as far as time, I'm going to make time. I'll make time. I'll make time for this. I will make time for this. It's never been easy, but I'll make time for this. We might have to have more than one day, but it's like, okay, we warned them about this before. Okay, let me go ahead and get Daryl up here on Zoom. Daryl, what's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? Good evening and happy holidays to you.
What's on your mind, brother?
Listen, Jason, excellent broadcast as always, first and foremost. And being a Chicagoan, I'm from Chicago. I've lived in New York, went to college there. And they got this kind of I don't care attitude, and it's a strong Caribbean influence. And I won't be surprised if that rapper dude, whoever he was, because he ain't irrelevant no more, that he's either second or third generation family removed from being Caribbean. And a lot of things that happen up there as far as the police is concerned is swept under the rug. And they try to sweep it, but this right here couldn't be whole. And the expert analysis that you gave about what Letitia James said, if that was somebody Jewish, that would have been, they would have done what they was doing. They would have been investigators.
How the hell could you still be walking? If Robert Brooks was Robert Weissman, he would not be, you would not have, and there was a group of black officers, a bunch of black corrections officers, did that to Robert Weissman or Robert Goldstein, you would not still be walking the streets with the attorney general, with the rabbis and the Jewish, the fundamentalist Jewish rabbis and the Zionists and the fundamentalists up there in upstate. They would have called her on Christmas Day and told her, put that damn turkey leg down. You got to go handle this they need to be indicted before you finish that turkey tonight. They need to have indictments tonight. And it would have got done.
That's right. It would have been no conversation. You are absolutely correct. They would have done that immediately. As a matter of fact, if she was opening the gift, they would have told her to stop.
Dude,
you need to put that get
APAC,
down and get this done
I don't
right
give
now.
a damn if she was in bed with her girlfriend. APAC would have been knocking on the damn window. Hey, y'all cut that out. You ain't indicted them folk? It could not be a group of black officers did that to Robert Goldstein, and the attorney general is sitting there talking about, well, you know, we got to investigate. They would have said, we've investigated it for you. You need to get some arrests, or you don't have to worry about being attorney general anymore.
That's right. Dude, that been a one-term situation right there. They
would get out. No. She'd be gone now.
They would ask for a resignation that evening.
Dude, they just removed a sitting president of the United States from office. Right. They just told him, you can't run for nothing else. And he said, okay. They just did that to him. Dude, New York State. Remember Elliot Spitzer?
Yes, sir. Oh, my God.
Oh, dude, you don't have to worry about an election. We will get you out of there right now.
No, that's right. Right
Elliot
now.
Spitzer,
right
you out right now. Eric Adams, Governor Cuomo. It was Letitia James, remember with that? Governor Cuomo did not commit a crime. He wasn't convicted of anything. You got to go now. You got to go.
Immediately.
Really? I'm not convicted of anything. I haven't been charged with anything. Yeah, you got to go today. Brother, if they send the word, if APAC send the word, Letitia James is walking out of there tonight.
That's right. She's walking out there tonight. That's right. That's right. There won't even be a conversation.
And everybody would act like they didn't know what happened. Well, she just stepped down. All right. Well, anyway, next up. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me tell you right, if that was Robert Goldstein and not Robert Brooks, APAC and the Jewish lobby would have called her in the middle of the night and you got to get up. And she would have got up. Well, you know, it takes time. You've had a day to look into this. A day is long enough. Indictments and arrests now. Don't worry, we've already written up the warrant for you. You don't even have to write up the warrant. We wrote the warrant up for you. Now you go get them all. That's what the hell it would be. My folks in New York know that. New York, Yonkers, all them areas, that's what it would be. All right, we got Michelle over here on Zoom. Let me wait for Michelle's audio to kick together here. All right, waiting for Michelle's audio to kick in. There you go. All right, Michelle, you're on Zoom.
Salute. I've been patiently waiting to tap in. I've been hard up in the chat. First of all, what tapped me in was the story yesterday when I was eating the popcorn, they going at each other's throat, the snake eating the tail, you know. And you know, I voted for Trump this year. I switched over from the Democrat Party to Republican, you know, make America great again type stuff. But I ain't going for this KKK stuff. You know, this stuff, I'm 43 years old. I'm in Cali, you know, and I got thug life tatted on me. Like I go way back with all this. It all ties in. So long story short is what they did is incomprehensible. It's like they demons like and it goes back to, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough everywhere, but on camera, I'd be watching on marathons these body camera, like people just get arrested for the simple things. They get in their words, but he looked like a stout type of man. Like he wasn't no type of punk. I don't know if what happened before then, what brought them to that level, but you could tell that was not their first time. That was so many group of people. Nobody stepped in. They're all one color, all men. Like, and even the nurse, like, at the bottom line, they need to go. There's no the AG or I don't know the language you got to speak it. Anybody in Spanish, this is international news. Like if they see this, it's out of there. And then you think, oh, before this, you know, that the chief, for overtime, I'll select you for a cheeseburger. She was getting overtime and they didn't add up. He got audited. See.
How long have you lived in California, Michelle?
What's that, sir?
How long have you lived in California?
All my life, bro. But I've been there to in the NYC at Times Square. I took the ball, went to snuck in the
would a person be mistaken for assuming that you might be a member of the LGBT community?
No, I have hoes in different area
Okay.
codes type shit. But I have two daughters, the same baby daddy, and I'm very attractive, and I am, more of a, I'm not prissy, and I does that. But
you do
I'm
like
with the game.
but you do like
But
women.
I ain't with that. I ain't with that rainbow. No, I ain't with that. I don't want no transgender going in my code because I'm an electrician. I work construction. I'm an IBW. I'm a union, and I'm a CNA. You know what I mean? RNA, all that. And I'm very educated. Associate's degree. I'm gonna step on my shit. I'm a hustler, baby. I want you to know where I've been, where I'm about to go.
You do a lot.
I'm a dice game. I'm been there, done. I go in the clubs. I've been to the strip
Well,
clubs.
I was just making the observation. You had a little cute.
Yeah, no, I felt like no, it's okay. But don't get it confused or don't get it wrong around. No, look at. I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm not with that. I have daughters now, and I don't want them. I win martial arts, so I fought against men. But guess what? We know it was men. See, they cheating. I ain't with the player. I ain't mixing my words up. And that's good that you ask these questions. And I want you to. I'll answer that. I'm not. No.
Well, I appreciate that. But when we go broadcasting, I hope to see you there. Thank you very much, Michelle. We appreciate that because she got some cute stud energy going on. So no problem with that either, by the way. She just looked like she's not under management right now. I'm like, okay, she got some stud energy along as she's not under management. All right, let me go ahead and get August here. She's very energetic too, by the way. So hopefully if I do a program, she'll be right there because she can go ahead and talk to him. That's the person we need talking to Albany. We need Michelle there for that. We need Michelle for that. When we do our thing, y'all, Michelle, I need you, baby. I need you on deck because when we start calling Albany, that's the kind of energy we need right there. We need somebody who can filibuster on the phone, and she is ready. All right, we got August here on Zoom. August, I'm giving you 5 seconds here to go ahead. Make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me. Otherwise, we got to move on. All right, August, what's on your mind?
Can you see me and hear me?
Yeah, brother, you look like the Weeknd at age 50. What's on your mind?
I'm 42 though.
Okay, but you know I'm telling the truth. You look like a 50-year-old version of the Weeknd. So okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you that one. All right, I ain't mad. If you allow, how you doing today, brother? And that's all. Thanks for the broadcast. If you allow me to, I just wanted to make a couple points.
Make sure you give us the Reader's Digest version. I got like a dozen folk on.
I know. I got you, brother. In our culture, we was talking about the lack of lawyers and everything that's on code and our community and everything. I just want to remind everybody from a generation before me when we had the Soledad brothers and the San Quentin Six. If you guys don't know the story of George Jackson and his brother Jonathan, when a prison guard a prison guard shot a black inmate, or they continuously always shot the black inmates when there were riots with white inmates. And when they did that, they threw a prison guard off the tier up in Soledad, and they became the Soledad brothers, and then later the San Quentin Six and what have you. But it was in the culture for when something happened, more of an eye for an eye type of deal. It was mandatory. We had those organizations that did those type of things. And I just wanted to say that, like, we just don't have that no more. And that's not what's cool for the youth to be no more. It used to be cool.
Look, the whole reason that we have, quote, black gangs is not necessarily the reason you had white ones. So when you talk about the Bloods, the Crips, Black Guerrilla Family, Disciples, the whole 9 yards, this was for protection. That is the genesis of what that happened. And behind bars, you still see that today. So what you're saying is absolutely spot on. That's the whole reason why they've been as strong as they have, because we've been under assault the whole time. Bernie Madoff don't need a white version of the Black Guerrilla Family. Bernie Madoff didn't need that. There's a reason that the black males do. I'll let you have the last word.
That's all I wanted to say. I'm from Oakland, Cali, but I moved out here to Atlanta recently, and me having experience in prison and jails, I'm very experienced in California jails and prisons, but to see what's going on just from the news and from what I hear from people here in Atlanta in that Fulton County jail, I'm appalled. And I've been to San Quentin, I've been to Susanville, I've been to Santa Rita, I've been to 850 Bryant, all of these places. Nothing compares to what I see on the news of what those people, those American citizens are going through while they're awaiting trial in Fulton County Jail. that these type of things happening and due to a man getting eaten to death by bed bugs and what have you.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to say, brother. Thanks again for speaking on this. Enough people not speaking on this right now.
You make a very good point, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Very good point. That's what I'm saying. It's not just New York, and we all know about the prison in Mississippi everybody was talking about. But I'm like, by the way, Mississippi, Fulton, remember they were talking about that right there. Where you at, Fannie Willis? We can go down the list. California, all over the state of California. That's a whole damn industry out there and whatnot. So when you, Arizona, we be here all night. You might as well just go ahead and just say the entire prison system, because that's what the system is doing. Might as well say the whole system, because that's what the system is doing. Let me go ahead and get back over here on Zoom. Okay, I got somebody here on Zoom who is claiming somebody's name here, so I'll give you 5 seconds to turn your camera on for me. Otherwise, we're going to have to go ahead and move on. So I can give you 5 seconds for that, and then we're going to go ahead. Well, either that or I can just ban you, one or the other. So you got 5 seconds for that. Okay. Permanent vacation there. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Brandon up here on Zoom. Let me see if we can get Brandon to join us on Zoom. Very important conversation for us to have tonight here. Okay, we got Brandon up here on Zoom. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Brandon. Okay, take out those headphones, Brandon. That's one issue you got right there. Unplug them and take them out. Y'all try these AirPods and earbuds and earphones and things like that, and it's hit or miss. Go ahead and see if you can unmute yourself, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. What's on your mind, brother?
Yes, sir. I remember listening to your program because I've been getting in your program for the last 3-4 years now. And it was a brother that called in and you went ham on him about our legal class. And you absolutely correct. I want to know, what is your opinion on us possibly starting our own freedmen's law firm where we donate $5 a week? Because I'm seeing you got 6,000 people. So if we do $5 a week, that's 30,000. I just want to know your opinion on that.
Typically, going through law school will cost you anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000. That's typically how much it costs, and you're looking at about a 10-year journey. So you might be able to get through it in 7 or 8 years. It depends. Of course, then you need to study after that. But technically speaking, you're looking at at least about a 7 to 8 year commitment, and anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, depending on where you go. Here's my thing about it, brother, and I'm just being totally candid with y'all right now. That's a mortgage. I'd be willing to take out one. The real thing is, I want you to understand what the strategy is, because right now, I got to remind you, at our HBCUs, they love bragging about how they're the biggest repository of cranking out black lawyers. Okay, you say that, and then I'm looking at what you're cranking out, and I'm looking at, okay, they got their credentials, but they ain't got no damn principles. And Absolutely. What I'm telling you is that's what I'm saying. We're going to have to re-examine that idea. So simply scholarshiping somebody, I don't think is enough, because, okay, once they're scholarshiped, we don't have any control of it. There's the issue, because we don't have a system in place to go check them if they come out later, as Dr. John Henry Clark said, if they betray the coalition. Okay, they got their scholarship, they taken care of, and the next thing you know, they're Candace Owens. Yes, so there's the thing you run in. You stand the possibility of running into that. So in order to make sure they're solid, brother, that's what I'm saying. We're going to have to start, in my opinion, and I know that nobody wants to hear this, and I understand it. Brother, I've been holding this microphone down going on 2 decades. I am not going to sit up here and deceive you all about what is realistic and what a realistic timeline is. I'm really looking at high school, and I meant when I said high school or maybe even middle school, to make sure these parents have done their job. And are we talking to a middle schooler or a high schooler who's letting us know they about this life, they about their business? Because when it comes to football, they don't let you get to college before they figure out whether you in it to win it or not. If they looking at you, they go back to see, have you been playing since elementary school? They want to know, well, did you have pads on in 3rd grade or 5th grade? So in reality, for what we're talking about, we really late. If I say high school, we're really late when you think about this. Like, really? You waited till the last minute. How many high schoolers would you talk to on career day about what they want to be when they grow up, that you would bet your life that they're going to go ahead and follow through on that? So that's the situation we're in. So I have to be candid and honest and realistic with you about the timeline and the odds and the stats that we're really looking at. I would love to fast track this. I would love to just go grab somebody at an HBCU or something there and they give us a good rap and here we go. But I also see what the hell happens when the system get a hold of them. Because, brother, here's the bottom line. You and me can give them a scholarship. What happens when they get to Morgan and Morgan and he's like, okay, you making $500,000.
JP.
Drop that black power stuff over there.
Yeah.
Let me give you this $500,000 and go drop that. Now what? Are we going to depend on them to be solid enough for that? Now what?
You was absolutely correct. Let me ask you this then. How you feel about our own quote unquote super PAC that can mimic what APAC do? And we get our own candidates and do what we do in our own political party aspect and get our people off the couch and to participate in the political process.
Here was the problem with Citizens United, which is why, all the folks who don't like that Supreme Court decision got ventilated. The problem with it is that super PACs are funded by super corporations. Yeah. A bunch of folk y'all never even heard of. I mean, this country is full of millionaires and billionaires you never heard of. It's like the folk who make the Bill Gates and stuff, man, that's abnormal. It's a bunch of folk you don't know who the hell. It's like, you got $1 billion? Who are you? Who the hell are you? And it's just like, he owns 20 car washes. He owns 50 McDonald's. And you never heard of him. So you hear about the Sackler families, but you don't hear about these folks who own 50 gas stations or whatever the case might be. So that's where your, quote, super PAC money is coming from. Okay. That's not going to be a viable strategy the way you're thinking of it until you can't do what they do until you can do what they do. There's folks who've been blowing the whistle on that kind of thing about who's that? Tim Pool and them and Daily Wire. Daily Wire, not Tim. Daily Wire. Daily Wire got millions of dollars from some fella out of Texas. I want to say he's an oil man or something like that. That's how Jeremy Boring, whatever his name is, and Ben Shapiro and them, they didn't jump on one day. A fella who already was papered up was like, okay, this is what we gonna do. But put him there. But it shouldn't be surprising. Fox News, PragerU, Heritage Foundation. Brother, these other folks come up with, forget the damn bag, they come up with the case. They come up with the truck, man. That's what they're doing. So when we talk about super PAC money and Citizens United, this is big money moving. Or should I say substantial money moving. It's not $1,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. I mean, brother, what does it take for you to pay for a congressman's congressional campaign? Think about that. I'm not talking about president, just one congressman. AIPAC came down and spent $20-30 million to get Cori Bush.
Killed them.
And Jamal Bowman got him too.
Jamal Bowman killed them.
Brother, okay, but who is funding AIPAC? The key word is funding. Brother, they getting their paper from folk who ain't bull jiving, they ain't messing around, they're not chasing interracial sexual access. They get up in the mornings, check their stock portfolio, make sure their money is coming in like it needs to. Now they're not doing that so they can go buy a Bentley. They're doing that so they can fund a war chest. I wish the civil rights generation had stayed focused on that, brother. Dr. Claude Anderson been beating it for decades. I've been doing it for decades here. I've tried to help as many folk as I can to get their weight up. I try to break it down as simply as I can. Double your income every 24 to 36 months. I wish we had generational wealth to call on. We don't. When folk do get together, like I said, the attorney class is worthless. In Atlanta, you got a hell of a bunch of black attorneys, and all they concerned about is sleeping with the damn paralegals, whoever the finest black female attorney is. Let me see if we can lay up with her. And never mind who's running the damn states. This is the reality that we are up against. This is what it really, really is. So if you want to go that route, I'm all for it, brother. I'm 10 toes into it. Just understand what you're really asking for. Because it's like, hey, Jason, why don't we go start a McDonald's? How much money you got? 10,000. Okay.
That ain't enough. You need 1.8.
You need 3 to 4 million just to start a franchise. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying if we're going to do it, let's make sure we do it right. Now you know what it requires.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And let the next man get a thing. But I salute to you, my brother.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. I'm all for it, y'all. I have no problem with that. Super PACs, I have no problem with it. Make sure that you actually have if you had a viable strategy for it, I'm with you. I'm with it. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Don up here on Zoom. Okay, Don, where you at? There you go. All right,
I'm
Don,
right here, Jason.
What's on your mind, Don?
Oh man, this is all bad on all the different levels, man. I mean, I could speak to it on all the different levels. What I saw 4 hyenas going wild. And I don't know if you and I ever talked about my background. My background is law and business. So, all of this is of great concern to me. In my law enforcement background, I was a training manager at 25 years old. And so I was on the county's training management association. And when I see stuff like this, man, I just think to myself, what in the hell? Because that's 180 degrees from what I taught and what we were about. And so, it really, the whole thing with the Daniel Penny thing aggravated the hell out of me. Because in the state of California, shortly after I became a training manager for my department, we had to be certified to train our officers on how to use carotid restraint. And of course, all of our officers had to have, they had to be current on their first aid and CPR. So if you had a fallout, but the amount of time, that
well, the point that you're making about that there is that this is not what you're trained to do. There's no way there's no manual. But then again, we've been through that too. Daniel Pentalio, the manual says don't do exactly what he doing. George Floyd, exactly. Eric Shaven, the manual in your training said don't do exactly what you're doing, what you see him over here doing. On this video here, don't do exactly what you're doing. There isn't a medical practitioner or law enforcement professional where this is what you're trained to do. So why are they doing that as a group? Oh, this isn't their job. This is their profession. And their job is a police officer. Their job is corrections officer. Their profession is white supremacy. I'll let you have the last word.
Sport. This is sport for them. This has nothing to do with it, except for with them getting off. They are their clan ancestors. They are just like the first ones that put the badges on. Oh, we done caught us one. Well, on the way back to the plantation, well, it don't matter if he expires because, we'll still get the reward. This is insanity. And that's why you see this country burning the way it is. But our people, one day you and I are going to have this whole conversation about what Bethany couldn't explain.
Well, definitely, like I say, when they sit up here and do that, brother, they do that to make an example with everybody. That's what I was saying to the brother last night. Everybody pretends to play dumb about white supremacy. That's why I told him, when you somebody says, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. You can't have this this was just the one that got caught on video. This happens all the time at Marcy, all the time at San Quentin, all the time at Attica Rikers. This happens everywhere. It's not happening by accident. Thank you very much for giving us a call. This is a group activity. It's not accidental. Everybody plays dumb about this and plays stupid. You can't have a whole damn room full of them, including the so-called medics. You can't have a whole damn room of them. Everybody's on code and doing the same damn thing by accident. How much do you got to see before it's no longer an accident? Let me go ahead and see if I can get Danielle up here on Zoom. It's not that many damn accidents in the universe. That is numerically impossible, statistically impossible. All right, Danielle, go ahead and unmute yourself. All right, Danielle, I can give you a few more moments here. I need you to go ahead and unmute yourself. You're on.
Hi, how you doing?
All right, Danielle, what's on your mind?
What's it? It's pretty bad everywhere. What's it? I had something happen to me too. It was so bad. I'm like a refugee from Oklahoma. Well, what's it? That I literally got chased out of that mug to save my life. It's so bad they don't even have voices. Literally. And I'm a veteran, and they do and they do that stuff that you guys saw in that video. That happened to me several times in Oklahoma. I mean, it's getting bad.
If they feel like they can get away with it, I just try to remind folk, it's just the year 2024. Not the only thing that's changed is the year, the means. I warned folk about this before. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Remember when I told you all that after Mike Brown, Hillary Clinton and them, let's go ahead and give you all a brief history lesson. Remember, I told you all, you can go back through my archive here on YouTube. I warned you all when they were talking about, oh, we're going to get everybody, we need to start funding body cameras, and we need to make body cameras mandatory and body cameras. And remember what Jason Black told you. Okay, so now you're going to get to see yourself killed in 4K. Well, if only there were body cameras so we could see what really happened. We didn't see what happened with Mike Brown, so we can't just take your word for it. We can't see what happened with Mike Brown. But if we had body cameras, so you need to vote Democrat so we can get everybody body cameras. And Jason Black said, well, now nothing's going to change except now you get to see yourself killed in 4K. And sure enough, right after Mike Brown, here comes Daniel Pantaleo. You saw that one. Then it turned to, well, the video recording doesn't show you everything. Walter Scott, you saw him get gunned down. Well, the recording doesn't show you everything. So even if you have them on body camera, now they're telling you, well, the body camera don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything because we can't see what happened. Okay, here's the footage. It doesn't mean anything because, well, the body camera doesn't mean everything. Now you just got to break down and say what it really is. I'm white and I say so. That's all. I'm white and I say so. Folk talking about they got their square. These other folk are squaring off on you, and folks talking about they in their square. It's off code. All right, let's go ahead and get Bernst here on Zoom. Bernst, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Mr. White?
All right, brother, what's going on?
Hello?
Okay, brother, you got a lot going on there. Apparently you're having trouble hearing us. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Mama 5 up here on Zoom. Mama 5, let me see if I can get you up here on Zoom. Give you a few moments here to go ahead and get that going. Mama 5 up here on Zoom. Make sure you have everything turned on for us here, there. Okay, go ahead and turn a light bulb on for us or something. There you go. All right, Mama 5, what's on your mind?
So, I think what I wanted to speak to is I don't think a lot of us really realize how sinister the nation that we live in and the people that run this nation, how sinister they are. They've been doing a lot of very nefarious things for a very long time that are now rooted, and I don't see not one iota how we're going to unroot those things out of our lives. I don't mean to speak so pessimistically about that, but I'm a truck driver. I'm on the road right now, okay? And just came out of Texas, a city named San Angelo. I've gone to places like Eagle Pass, Texas. And it's factual that entire cities are populated, brand new cities. Good highways are populated with people that do not look like us, and they're not white either. And those people have been given, the kind of resources that we have to scrape and beg for, and we as Black people built this country.
Well, here's the thing. What's been missing is a code is what's been missing. Because remember, this conversation,
Yes.
this conversation we're having tonight wasn't happening 15, 20 years ago, except here. It wasn't happening nationally. If Robert Brooks had been killed, it would have just been a blurb on the evening news, and they would have gone straight by that. Now, all I can say, sisters, like I say, I don't know what you've been witnessing and whatnot, but the very fact that we're having this conversation, go ask the Democrats if we're having an effect. Go ask the Republicans if we're having an effect. Go ask the white supremacists if we're having one. Ask them if we're changing it. Because understand something, before we came along here, who was even sounding the alarm, much less getting anything done? Where was the conversation? You got thousands and thousands of black folks sitting in here right now. Where in the hell else you see that? So I do not share in, I can understand why a person would be cynical. America gives you a lot to be cynical about, but I do not share in that. We've been very effective. We'll continue to do so.
I don't mean to dispute that because I totally agree with you. We have been effective.
Well, we're up
I
against
just want
tough
us to
competition.
understand
We're
that
up
it
against
goes a whole lot deeper than what we know.
Well, we're up against
A lot of
stiff
us.
competition, that's for certain, and the odds do tend to be a little discouraging sometimes. I can understand that. You're up against tough odds, but then again, we've always been up against tough odds. The real thing is being acknowledging of where the gravity of the situation really is and how dire the situation really is, and to be able to gauge when it has not improved and it's not getting better. And the fact that you're seeing this happening out of New York on video, that's just more, that's an update to you that, by the way, anybody living under the delusion that behind the doors of your house, everything's fine and everything's straight, and which is just another way of saying we doing fine. No, you're not. Thank you.
No, we're not.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and see if I can get one more person up here. Let me see if I can get them up here on Zoom. Go ahead and turn your camera and your microphone on for us here. We can give you 5 seconds to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're going to have to go ahead and move on. So we're going to have to go ahead and do that. All right. Well, whoever that is there has decided that they're going to take the rest of their life off. So we'll go ahead and let them go. Let's go ahead and get Huey up here on Zoom. Huey, what's on your mind?
Not much, brother. Thank you very much for the wonderful broadcast. It's very sad on what happened to our brother up in New York. There was a lot of things that kind of triggered me, or like something that I seen where they pulled the brother's pants down. That's something I saw off of a Hidden Colors, where when they lynch us, they basically will do something where they cut off the scrotum, or they do some type of gesture where basically it's attacking the seat of the black man. When I was looking at that video. Another thing is it's like, as you said before, these politicians and all these guys, for the prosecutors, they could prosecute those correction officers at any point that they want. They have enough video, they have enough evidence. It's already a shut case of things.
Brother, they arrest black folk every day on traffic stops. They arrest black folk every day walking down the street. You get arrested with no physical evidence on you. That happens every single day. It never takes them 2 or 3 weeks and a 2 or 3 week investigation for nothing. I smell weed. Get your ass in the paddy wagon. I don't know where them shoes came from. Get your ass in the paddy wagon. Where'd you get all this money? Get your ass in the paddy wagon. You don't get 2 or 3 weeks of investigation. They can lock you up right then, right there on the spot. No questions asked, no deliberation, no negotiation, no discussion. When it comes time for them to flip that, we gotta study it, and we gotta hold a committee, and we gotta invest. We gotta make sure we dot all our I's and cross all our T's. The whole reason why the no bail, the no bond movement kicked off was because you could be arrested and held at a drop of a dime. And if you didn't have bond money, there you would sit. You would sit in jail while they investigated. Now, that's the norm, except when it's time to do it for us. It's like, okay, well, they got it on video. Ooh, well, we don't know we can do that. We gotta make sure we thorough. Okay, but when you yanked us out the damn car on probable cause alone, That's enough to get you arrested and charged and sitting in jail, probable cause. This video goes beyond the definition of probable cause. And by the way, what you're talking about, the guy that's showing up on the screen right now, this goes beyond any of that. And yet they're talking to you like you're stupid or dumb. Why? Because they're accustomed to folk accepting that. They're accustomed to it. Things don't change until you show them that, yeah, we're not going to go for that. And New York is a prime target for that because that's the place where the Democrats are depending on us. Time to put a spotlight on what they're not doing. On them, right there, where they at. It's like, by the way, you just saw what happened. Time to get on the spotlight for you.
Yeah, and don't expect D.L. Hughley, don't expect Roland Martin, don't expect Joy Reid or any of those other shields to talk about either, because they are all going to be dead silent about this. So,
well, Roland and them are talking about the corrections officers. They're not talking about the Democrats. So over there on his channel, they're talking about the corrections officers. They're not talking about the Democrats. They're not talking about, by the way, this is a Democrat city, Democrat state, Democrat government. This is them telling you what they can't do and slow walking it. And by the way, these conditions have existed now for decades, not years. This is not new. Correct. Robert Brooks is not an isolated incident, and this is not new. This is the norm. But then again, you and me ain't getting paid by the Democrats, so our view on criticizing them is radically different from these other folks. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Obi up here on Zoom. Obi, let's go ahead and get everything up and going for us here. I can give you a few seconds to go ahead and get that going for me. Otherwise, we're going to have to go ahead and move on here. So, Obi, all right, Obi, what's on your mind?
How's it going, brother Jason?
All right,
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. I said good afternoon. Good evening, man. Great broadcast as usual. I'm from New York City, and everything you said about New York is true and more, especially with the abuse of power as it relates to Black people here. There's a lot of, I guess, who you call tethers. They just don't care. The culture here, the Black culture here in New York City is really bad or non-existent. It's just a lot of things with New York is just wrong. It's just bad. The city, it seems like it's finished. These cops, the abuse of authority with the police, like you said, they can lock you up for anything and you have to wait trial. That's happened to me many times, many people that I know. And that's why they had to do away with the cash bail system. And they've abused that so much. And now, you know, the thing that's happened to Robert Brooks up there in central New York, I mean, it's like people are used to that. You know, they say Jadakiss has said in one of his rhymes, because them crackers in the mountains will try to slay you. And people, you know, they've gotten used to it. And if you can do that phone call to one of the elected leaders here in New York, our representatives, and put pressure on them, I think that would definitely change things politically here in New York.
It's a very real possibility. Keep your eyes and your ears open. You know, ever since Emmett Till, ever since the mother of white supremacy was allowed off the hook, she was allowed to die without being marched out in front of the world for the murderous bastardess that she was. We have to make it our goal and our job and our mission not to let the rest of them slide like that. Maybe we can't do everything, but that doesn't prevent us from being able to do something. Maybe we can do something. Let me go ahead and see if we can get one brother up here on Zoom. Try to get one brother up here on Zoom. Go ahead and get everything up and going for us here. You all have given me enough telephone emojis and whatnot. Y'all have done enough of that for me there. So it's just going to be a matter of time at this point. Okay, we got one brother up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Good evening, Mr. Black. Excellent broadcast as always, but somber indeed. As someone both originally from New York and, as you know, and one of the few foundationals in my med school, I have to agree with what you said about our medical class. In the little contact I've had with law students, or I've come to know, being in this kind of professional space, is exactly what everybody's been saying. A lot of people are just going straight for big law or straight for essentially the bag at the expense of the rest of the lineage and the rest of Black people, B1 people in general. So I talk with middle school and high schoolers now within and outside of my program about getting to medical school. And I was just wondering if there's anything that you would advise specifically being that conversation between one of us who's actually in med school and between these essentially potentials who can come up and be in our medical class for us.
Money is essential, but money is not the only essential. If the only reason you're going to med school or law school is to make a bunch of money, and it doesn't matter if you're a damn degenerate or a coon or useless, then it didn't mean anything. It doesn't matter how much money Candace Owens makes. She's been a failure as a human being. It doesn't matter how much she does. She's been a failure as a human being. So don't just go to school so you can succeed at getting a degree. It's all worthless if you failed at being a human being. And right now, that's the conversation that is not taking place. There are levels of things to be proud of. Johnny Cochran could be proud not simply because he was a successful attorney, but because he was a successful attorney when it counted. Being in law school and medical school is all great and wonderful and cool, but if you can't deliver when it counts, then it was all for nothing. That's the conversation that needs to be going on right now. Your Jewish kids are not going to law school to go make a bunch of money, although that is what they're going to do, but they're also going because they've been told that you're on a mission. This is a crusade. This is a campaign. And if you fail at that part of it, then it didn't matter what you did in law school. Doesn't matter if you're president of the Harvard Law Review. If you cannot defend the Jewish people, then you're worthless. And that's the conversation that happens, not just at one level. It's the moms, it's the dads. Everybody's on code with that. That's the conversation that needs to happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to that point as well, I know that you've mentioned both on this channel and the other about those in medical school going towards certain specialties, going towards specialties in general over being generalists. Does that matter in the context of the fact that we don't have a lot of doctors in any field? Or do you think going towards one specialty over another is still something that you would encourage?
I mean, no matter where you fall in the system, to be totally honest, if you're talking about making more money, I mean, you make more money as a specialist, obviously. But whether you're a GP or a specialist, the real thing is, are you on code? That's the component that's missing. So you can teach somebody to be an excellent doctor. Can I teach you to be an excellent Black person? Can I teach you to care, to use what you're doing in service of Black people? Can I teach you that? And if we fail at that, then what are you doing here? There's nothing we can do with you if you fail at that part of it. So GP, specialist, whatever, okay, that's great for the medical field. By the way, what's your mind state? Because if all you want to do is be the next Candace Owens, okay, this was a fail. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. That's the issue that we're having. Let me go ahead and get MB up here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and see if we can get MB up here on Zoom. We can give you a couple of moments here. MB, we'll probably take just one more after that, but MB, we need you up here on Zoom. Go ahead and wake up here. I can give you about 5 more seconds, then we're going to have to move on. All right, MB on Zoom here. What's on your mind?
Let me see if I can move your sound here. Hey, big bro, how's it go, man? Yo, love the broadcast, man. You've dropped a lot of gems as usual. Spill out of bars as usual, man. Appreciate you. Especially with this issue regarding this brother that's going way too soon here, and these mofos that did what they did. One thing that kind of, and also how you correlate that to folks like Sadat X, who I've been seeing them on through the week. It's been disappointing. I remember him from the 90s from Brand Nubia, and that's mad disappointing. He's spazzing out like that and doubling down on not doing anything to speak out on, our cultural and, on our culture and backing our culture's claim or whatever to our, our heritage. And that's mad disappointing. And the way you juxtaposed both of those there kind of got me thinking, because I would say over the past couple of years, New York has not been relevant far as like pushing our culture forward. Like last year, the main thing that sticks to our minds from last year, back in 23, was the Montgomery beatdown. Our brothers and sisters from down south was whooping tail down there. Know what I mean? And this year, it's been more of the West Coast kind of doubling down on our claim, on this being the black art that we, on our culture and everything. It was with the West Coast, it was Kendrick, but then he put out rest of LA and Cali on his back saying, yo, this is all Cali. This is all for Cali. So in New York, I was trying to say, is there a correlation with the fact that New York, the way a lot of cats are kind of like Sadat X, and, and they kind of been, giving racist Latinos a pass and everything. And they also give a pass to the fact that we've had, this brother that got killed by these correctional officers. That's not been a one-time thing, as you pointed out. This has been a long-going thing, and with a lot of brothers, like Ben Sadat X, been on some, as long as I'm in my square, I'm good. Like, do you think that correlates to the fact that New York has not been pushing the culture forward like they kind of been?
Well, what's happened is there have been a lot of, when people are oppressed, it brings them together because they don't have the luxury of being distracted by a bunch of nonsense. This is so pressing, and you're not allowed to do anything else. You're not allowed to concentrate on anything else. So it's a lot easier to keep people disciplined when they're not allowed to concentrate on anything else. Once folks start making a few moves, make a little bit of money, and in the case of New York, when simply being a resident has, for them at least, been raised to being the status level of a status symbol. I'm from New York. Everywhere they go around the country, their middle name is I'm from New York. Okay, that's cool and everything, but why are you saying that? Obviously, you think that's a flex, or that in and of itself has some intrinsic value. Michael Bloomberg owns something of value in New York. Trump owns things of value in New York. So when he says he's from New York, he means something radically different. And that's where the issue has come from. New York has become, like I say, what Miami is being there. You have a bunch of black folk who are there. There's some black folk who are there. And they are concentrating on coping mechanisms and things to soothe them. So they have access to move around the city, but if something goes wrong, they don't have any rights. And that's where the interracial sexual access thing becomes an issue because, well, I got interracial sexual access, and that distracts them into thinking that that's a power, or that that's a benefit, or that that's a goal to aspire to. So as long as I've got that, everything else is just the cost of doing business to have access to Dominican chicks in New York. So that becomes a bargaining chip that keeps people distracted and is leverage. And unfortunately, a lot of these cats' cases, because they're not accomplishing anything else, that becomes substantial. And that's become an issue. So that's why I called it out when G Unit was on Breakfast Club and whatnot. I'm calling it out. I'm like, okay, I got to pull your coat to this to say, by the way, I see a lot of that happening in New York. Anybody who's been there and whatnot for any extended period of time, you see that kind of thing all the time where they're acting like that's a status symbol. And then you take a look at the condition that you're in. Oh, yeah, one more thing. In Robert Brooks' case, y'all, where's our minority coalition at? Damn. By the way, y'all, we're going on a week now. Anybody seen our minority coalition?
None of the Brown. None of the Brown is around.
Anybody seen our Jewish backup, our Asian backup? Where's the backup at in New York? Because there's plenty of black males who got sexual access to Latinas, Asians, Jewish chicks, Indian chicks, Filipinos. They brag about, okay, you got sexual access to them, but meanwhile, you worrying about the women. What are the men over here doing to you? And the women are not helping you to do nothing about that. So, by the way, if anybody locates our minority coalition, somebody let them know, hey, y'all late. We ain't heard nothing from you yet. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me go ahead and get one more person here. Let me go ahead and see if I can get one more person here. Okay, I got okay, sir, what is your name? You got iPhone, what's your name?
Jason.
Okay, Jason, what's on your mind?
Yeah, brother. Long time listener. Salute to you, brother. B1. Hey, one thing I've been noticing is for our people to get any respect out here, we gotta be on code. We gotta be together, man. I've been seeing this. I've been saying this for years, man. And I hope sooner or later people catch on and be like, look, pop it like this. We the only group of people in this country that don't got each other's backs, and they wonder why we always getting messed up. They wonder why when stuff happen to us, don't nothing happen to the people. That's because ain't nobody gonna bring no smoke. It's like you could do anything you want to us. Ain't nobody gonna stand up and do nothing. And ain't nobody gonna shut nothing down. Ain't nobody gonna cause no smoke. Ain't nobody gonna shut nothing down. It's gonna be a regular day. They're gonna go on like ain't nothing ever happened. And they wonder why it's so easy to pick us off one by one.
Well, let me make an observation there, because you do make a very good point. I want to add to that observation. If you do something against a white person, there's going to be a response. But listen here, that response ain't just going to be at the lower level. It's not going to be just that white person and their family. Folk above y'all are going to say something. The mayor, the city council, the congressman, the assembly person, hell, the governor or president. So the folk at the top of white society look out for those beneath them, at least against you. Now, if anybody gonna mess them over, they gonna be the ones to mess them over, but you won't be allowed to do so. So there'll be a white lawyer, there'll be a Jewish lawyer, there'll be an Asian who'll join in with that. The white politicians will join in there. These other folks will get in there. They will come down from their elevated elite positions to look out for the white folk down here if them white folk need backup against you. Meanwhile, over here, your privileged Negroes are talking about they looking out for themselves and looking out for their square and looking out for what they got going on. That's the critical key difference. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and that's why we get picked on the way we do. That's why people can just do what they want to us, because they know I don't care how rich the next black man is, he not gonna come down from his high horse, from his mansion, and say, hey man, y'all messing these brothers up over here. We ain't gonna have that. Ain't gonna happen. It ain't one billionaire black person gonna stand up and say nothing. They gonna stay comfortable in their little $1 billion, $1 million house. They gonna stay over there and they gonna look at us like, oh man, they got it messed up over there. Bro, you would have been one of us if you didn't get lucky.
No, the Oprah Winfreys and their ilk, you don't hear nothing from them. You won't. The only time when you did was when we took the streets after George Floyd. Then they all jumped up because the heat was on the press. Even Dave Chappelle had to say something. There was nobody who was left out. A microphone was stuck in everybody's face. They had to stand and deliver and state what side they were being on. That was the only time they said something. Most of them didn't actually do anything except get on Twitter and say, oh, I support y'all. But as far as getting off your ass to deal with these things and whatnot, no, I got a concert to go to. I got to get ready for my next movie deal over here, or in the legal community and whatnot, because you do have black lawyers out there, folks. You do. They made that movie with Jamie Foxx, who is playing this black lawyer out of Florida, I think, suing the funeral home in Mississippi. You do have black lawyers out there. The real thing is they don't look out for us. They don't look out for us. They're looking out for their big old houses, their big old mansions, so they can go stunt. And the problem they have is they don't get any respect from us, because they can't come among us and stunt. Because as soon as you tell me that you're a lawyer, I'm like, okay, what the hell you done did for us, man? Because when I hear lawyer today, all I want to know is, nigga, how many lawsuits have you filed? What have you filed? Oh, nothing? Get the hell out my face, man. That's a negative. Telling me you're a lawyer today is a negative. I'm going to check the paperwork. What did you file? Where are your cases, man? You ain't got none? Nigga, walk.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. That's not a flex. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. You got, contrary to popular belief, you do got black lawyers all over this country. You do. The real issue here is that they on that bull jive with, well, I'm all right, and I don't want to hear about no damn money either, because that's the real thing about it. I do not want to hear about that. That's the thing that makes us damn me vulnerable. In Jewish society, it doesn't matter whether he's a Jewish lawyer at the biggest law firm or he's an independent lawyer out there in Kansas somewhere. His people got somebody. And they will get in touch with you. They're not going to have you just sitting out there by your damn self. Somebody said Roland Martin has a law degree. I don't know about that. If he does, that's the first time hearing about that. I know he went to Texas A&M, but he's useless around the board anyway. So even if he did have a law degree, I mean, the nigga might as well be wearing an apron, because they're not going to do the Monique Presleys and whatnot. No, it's not that we don't have black folk who haven't been to law school. It's as soon as you start talking about blackness, they, oh, well, you know, I got other stuff going on. As soon as they get into a damn bind, they want to say something. So it's like, no, that's a negative to me. Telling me you're a lawyer today, that's a negative. That's a negative. I don't want to hear it. It doesn't work. I don't care what Robert Brooks did to get into prison. I don't care what it was that happened. I don't care what it is. That matters to me none. We're not going to co-sign lynching our people, period, point blank, into discussion. We're not going to have it. Brothers and sisters from around the world, I have received your message. I'm just the messenger. You are the message. And I am telling you tonight, message received. Albany will be hearing from all of us. I will let you all know the time and the date, but the message has been received. I hear you loud and clear. It's going down. So we will choose the time and the date, and we're going to make that happen. I'm going to need my New York heads on that, because there's some specific folk we're going to want to make sure we light them up to make sure they understand what the hell happening. But it's going down. It's going down. Period. We're going to make time for them. We're going to make time. Anybody who thought they were going to get off the hook because it's wintertime or whatever, happy holidays. Yeah, get that damn turkey off the damn table. We got business to handle. And we're going to handle that. We're going to handle that. To anybody who told themselves that the era of Mississippi burning and lynchings was over, let this be your reminder. Your cell phone game and your tennis shoe game and your sex game and all those distractions, that hasn't changed anything. We are still not free. We are still a people under siege. We are still in the middle of a race war. And if you're not looking for a fight, it doesn't matter. The fight's looking for you. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up tonight. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, Mr. Fontes, Grind Time. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. I've had a bunch of other folks here, Stolen Ancestors, the list of names there. Thank you very much, sister. We appreciate that. Valerie, FBAJ, everybody there. I appreciate you here as well. Also, to Sherman and Marzine, thank you very much as well. To everybody out there. You could be doing a bunch of other things during this time, but people, this is the reason we're here. This is the reason that we exist. There is no other purpose. There is no other reason. We are going to make time for this. And if we cannot all be equally comfortable, then damn it, we will all be equally uncomfortable. And we're getting ready to hand out some comfort to the afflicted and some affliction to the comfortable. And they've been real too damn comfortable in Albany. They're hoping that nobody's paying attention. Unfortunately for them, we are. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your fellow soldier, and your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. This is what we are here for. This is why we're here. I hope you all will join me when it's time to send the word down. Until next time, all of my brothers and all of my sisters from all around the world, remember, Black is the future and the future is uncompromising.